to save our way. Over the ages, we have known pain like no other. But we endured.
Oh dear.
And we became mighty.
There we go.
Now, outsiders dishonor our shores, and we have stood by, doing nothing.
Test, test, test.
Hear my voice, ancestors. Show us your strength. Show us the true way.
Oh, this is gonna be the trial of the ancestors.
Ooh.
These fucking locations are sick.
Okay, so I think I'm too loud.
The true
Okay, test, test, test.
Oh, there was fucking the King's March. Hey, there we go.
Testing a third time.
3 interlude acts. 35 new areas. 24 bosses. Jesus. Man.
Damn, dude.
Overhaul, nice. Okay, ooh.
40 lineage support.
What does that
Ooh,
mean?
new items. 150 new notables. Sprinting! Raid!
Ooh.
Holy shit! Come on, Druid. Please, Druid. Please, Druid. Please, Druid. Please, Druid. Give me the fucking Druid. What is this? Rise of the Abyssal. Whoa.
All this means, but it looks cool.
August 29th.
Now, as you can see, there's a lot going on, and we have a lot to reveal today. We'll start by going over Act 4, the next chapter in the Path of Exile 2 storyline. But that's not all. There's also 3 new interlude acts to get you to endgame, which means we're removing cruel difficulty
I love
too.
that.
Ooh.
After that, we'll be going through the massive changes to
that's sick.
characters.
Ooh.
I'm super excited to show
All
you
of
how I've
them.
overhauled the entire support gem system, added new skills, and yes, there are buffs.
Oh.
Next, we'll go over the Rise of the Abyssal, this season's exclusive league mechanic, and talk about the new rewards, crafting systems, areas, and bosses that it adds. After that, it's on to changes we're making to the endgame. Then it's time to talk about items, crafting, and oh yeah, trade. That's going to be a big one. We'll then go over our new supporter packs and finish up with a live
when I
Q&A
was
session where
offline,
ZD
yes.
will ask Path of Exile 2's game directors, myself and Mark, your questions from Twitch chat. And after that, at 4 p.m. Pacific, patch notes. They're not quite complete, but they should give you some nice details to chew on. We've got a lot to cover today.
They're just
but
being
first,
secretive
another
about the
announcement.
Druid.
When the third edict launches on the 29th, we'll be having a free weekend for Path of Exile 2.
Ooh.
That's right, Path of Exile 2 will be
Hey,
free
we
for
get
the
the
first
boys to
time
play it.
without requiring an early access key.
Holy shit.
The free weekend will end on September the 1st, so
Progress
you'll have
is
plenty of
saved.
time to give the game a try. All right,
Nice.
let's get
Bro.
started with Act 4. The story continues from the end of
What
Act
was the
3.
date? I missed the date.
Doryani has
Something
agreed to help you
29th.
find an ancient weapon that can be used against
The
corruption.
29th is when the
instrument of
DLC
the
thing is
third
coming out. I
edict.
didn't see.
Yep.
The weapon was broken in
that was
ages
the first.
past, but he
That
believes
ends.
that the pieces may be found in the Karui archipelago, the home of the Karui tribes. You will need to journey to Kingsmarch,
Yay.
hire a ship, and set sail.
Hell yeah.
When you open the map, you can
Whoa.
choose to sail anywhere you like. Act 4 is
Ooh.
completely non-linear.
Yo.
You can visit the islands in any order you choose.
That's fucking outstanding, dude.
Will you visit the pristine beaches of Whakapanu Island?
Wakapanu. Hey,
The
yo.
Karui whisper of a curse that afflicts all who travel there. Perhaps it's related to the
Whoa.
weapon you seek.
Dude.
Or maybe you will visit the
Oh,
volcanic shores of
man.
the Isle of Kin. The Kin have been more restless recently, mining for sulfite and driven by some dark force. Perhaps you will choose to consult with one of the local Karui tribes.
Dude, ew, what the fuck
Their
was that
ancient
thing?
wisdom could hold clues to finding the third edict. No matter where you choose to go, you will fight dangerous beasts, find fabulous treasures, and battle incredible bosses.
A challenger! Come, Yamasi.
On
It's
command.
fucking Sun Wukong!
No, it's Yama the
There are
way.
8 islands
Oh.
to discover, each teeming with its own flora and fauna. Act 4 contains over 100 new monster types,
Jesus.
16 new areas, 12 new bosses, and plenty of other interesting encounters.
Hey, yo!
There's a huge amount to show, but we're not going to spoil too much here.
Uba.
Got some
We want to give you a
mermaid
chance to
yiddies hanging
discover it
out.
all for yourself. What happens after Act 4? Well, until now you had to repeat the entire campaign again before you could face the endgame. But after adding Act 4, the game is far too long to make you do that.
Yeah.
We needed something else to do in between the end
Yeah.
of Act 4 and the endgame. So what else could we do? Add 3 new mini-acts, of course, and we're calling them the interludes. The interludes are a
people
set
know
of
how to
3
put
temporary
together a
side stories
product,
that
man.
will
I
included in
know.
the game until Act 5 is released.
They're just
It
like,
will take
fuck
you to
it.
level 65 where the endgame can begin. The first interlude sends you on a journey back to Ogham. Renly has been leading the efforts to rebuild Ogham village after the defeat of Count Geonor, but there's a new danger afoot. The
Yes, now
nearby
you can just
town of
actually play
Holton
through
is
the campaign
surrounded
and
by
not have to redo
impenetrable
anything.
darkness, and each night the
Punching
corrupted
torso.
townfolk emerge to raid the local farmlands. You'll discover new areas.
Not the local farmlands.
Yo, immediately I just saw the fucking rock wall
And new bosses.
with a version that
Made
just
a line.
extended it outward. And then there's
You'll need to
that.
find your way through the darkness,
There's so much new shit immediately.
uncover the source of corruption,
Ew.
Soon you will serve our master.
and defeat it.
Yes, I shall dance with their corpse.
And that's just the first interlude. The second interlude will have you return to the Vasteri Desert, where Asala has been given a sacred duty. When the skies align, the gifting of water requires a chosen Sekima to meet with the Selkari, guardians of the sacred water, but they're nowhere to be found. You will need to track down the Selkari, find those responsible for disrupting the gifting, fight even more new bosses, discover the secrets of the ancient ritual, discover new locations,
And we'll see he's having a great time.
and ultimately help Asala carry out her sacred duty. Now for Interlude 3. As Royal Thaumaturge of the Val, Doyani had plans within plans to save his people from the cataclysm perpetuated by Atzeri's lust for power. One such plan involved sealing a group of willing Val deep in a great mountain vault near the home of the Asmeri, deep enough to survive the
Willing
cataclysm.
Val.
Even though thousands of years have passed, he believes that their descendants may still live, and may be key to defeating the beast. The journey up the mountain
With all
will be
these
dangerous.
upgrades, I'm really hoping I can get a taunt.
New foes stand in your way,
It'll make such a difference for me in terms of
and the
tanking
further
in
up
this
the
game
mountain
if
you
I can have
venture,
a
the
fucking
colder it will
taunt.
become.
Because the tanking in this is good, but I have zero way
It's
of
more
going,
caves of
hey,
ice.
stop fighting him and fight me.
And enter the vault itself. Who can say what you will find within?
What a
Interludes
ritual.
are 6 to 7 areas each, and generally include 4 boss fights as well.
That's
When
nice.
you put that together with Act 4, that adds up to 35 new areas in the campaign, and 24 new bosses.
It's good too, because it's now going to be fresh
It's worth making
content for
clear
people
that
like
the
us
interludes
that
are
have just
temporary.
significantly
When
played
Act
too
5 and
much of
6
the
are
first
added,
3
the
acts.
interludes will be going away. These are side stories after all, but don't worry, the bosses and areas that make up the interlude are all part of the endgame. We're not just going to throw them away.
Nice.
And with that, we don't need
Yeah,
cruel
of course.
difficulty anymore.
Cool.
We do know that it was a pretty big chore to have to play through the campaign multiple times on each character, and this was a huge reason that the campaign could feel like a bit of a slog when playing through again. But we do also have another new feature to address that particular concern as well.
Ooh.
So let's
Okay,
talk
okay.
about
Oh, yeah, the
sprinting.
dude, thank God.
Yeah.
In 030, when you hold down the dodge roll button, your character will go into a sprint
Hell
after they
yeah.
finish the roll. This is available on all character classes, and there's no limitation on how long you can sprint for.
Dude, I hope
The
that
primary
there's a
purpose of
shield
this
No
ability
ability
where I
is to
pull the
navigate
shield
areas
out when I'm
faster when
sprinting.
out of combat. Because of that, if you do take a hit
Oh,
while sprinting,
shit!
you'll fall to the ground.
Oh,
The
God.
That's
best
yeah.
hilarious.
skill
So if you
you've
run
seen
and
that.
get hit, you just
So
ah.
Sprint so you can engage with no delay.
Oh, that's
If you
funny
do
as
need to run
shit.
away from monsters, just hold spacebar. You won't be vulnerable during the roll, and you're faster while sprinting than basically any monster in the
That's
game, allowing you to
fucking
retreat from combat.
fantastic, dude.
Mm.
Sprint is a pretty significant change to PoE 2's gameplay, What I like most about it is that we can accelerate the pace of the game for those who want that without having to compromise on PoE2's more visceral combat systems.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, so that's the new extensions to the campaign.
Absolutely.
But there's a whole giant league to play through as well. I'll leave that to Mark to talk about later. And that's because what I want to talk about now is the new stuff for your characters.
Yes.
And probably one of the biggest new systems here is with the support gems. Now, support gems are one of the most interesting elements to creating a build. They're what enables so many interesting mechanics and different ways to play. But PoE2's support gem system has just never been quite right. One of the major issues is the limitation of only having one support gem of each type on your character.
Please.
We didn't want builds to just become using the same 5 most powerful supports in every skill.
Yep.
The problem with this design, though, is that it's actually working against using multiple skills in your build.
Yep.
If you can only use each support gem on one skill,
You gotta just
it means that you're
fucking
encouraged to go
mainline
all
that
in on
one.
that one ability. And we want to encourage you to combo your abilities.
Yep.
Something needed to change. So with
Okay.
that in mind, we've removed the restriction of
Okay.
having one of
Yeah!
each support gem per character.
Dude, I'm gonna be a
You can now
god.
use as many copies
Oh
as you
my
like.
God.
Dude, I'm gonna be a god.
This should
Dude, this
drastically
the
increase
elemental
amount of
one
possible
that I
builds
have
and
will be
increase the amount of skill
disgusting.
diversity.
I can lifesteal. Oh my god, we're playing a
There are a
shitload
lot
of
of
this.
potential builds that
Oh,
suffer
yeah.
from
As
the
soon
previous
as this
restriction.
update is out.
For example, a poison build previously couldn't add poison to more than one skill.
Yeah, which is
They couldn't use stacking poison on more than one skill either.
Right. That's true.
This severely limited your ability to combo
Yeah.
with anything outside of the specifically designed poison archetype. But
Yep.
now you can.
thank God, man.
Many
Right.
utility skills
Again,
previously couldn't scale
a
to
beautiful
in-game
product.
because the supports that would make them scale were more useful to use on other skills. You would never speed up killing Palm with martial tempo when you would much rather use it on your primary skill instead. There are more examples like this all over the place.
Yep. You and I have discussed
In
it at
addition to
length.
that, though, we thought there wasn't enough feeling of progression in the
Oh, hell
supports as you
yeah.
went through the game. There were only 3 tiers of
Ooh,
support,
two.
and many
go,
of the most
dude.
important
Charlie
ones were given out
three.
at tier 1.
It's
Also,
5.
there were no strict upgrades, meaning that upgrading supports when you ran out of sockets required quite a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
In order to solve these issues, we now also have multiple levels of many supports as you go through the game. For example, double barrel support gives you an extra bolt, but at the cost of 30% less reload speed. At tier 2, the penalty gets lowered to 20%. But then
Ah,
at tier 3, the support gem gets something new.
Okay.
that's sick.
It now
they
reloads
become
automatically when you
strong.
hit
Ooh,
some
they
enemy.
got-
Oh.
Ooh.
So instead of just
In some cases,
number
the
go
highest
up,
tiers
Dude,
will
prediction's
also
gonna
look
feel
everything's
so
going to
nice
be
in this
better.
game
Like the
now.
upgrade or
Holy
not, depending
shit.
on your build.
oh my
For example,
god,
rapid
they've
casting.
literally just made
The first
anything
couple of levels
viable.
gives 15, then 20% increased cast speed. But then at tier 3, it changes to a new approach.
Dude,
For each different spell you cast in the last 8 seconds, you get 10% increased cast speed, which could be a pretty big bonus if you use a lot of different spells. So that's pretty good for upgrades through the
Oh,
campaign.
man.
But we wanted to add a little
I'm
more
gonna
spice
crash
to the
our
in-game
game.
for supports too. And that's where our new system, lineage supports, comes in.
ooh,
You can think of these like unique
Okay, lineage
items, but for
supports.
supports.
oh,
There are supports that are
Unique
only
items?
available at endgame, but they're much more powerful. Like Ratha's Assault.
oh,
It's an upgraded version of double barrel that reloads your skills you
Oh,
dodge roll,
my
as well as
god.
increasing the number of bolts it can hold.
They're giving us
But it does mean that it's the
Oh.
only way you can reload the skill now.
Dude,
Now, unlike regular supports, you can't find these through the uncut support gem. Just like unique items,
Oh.
many of these can be found from specific bosses.
dude.
Okay.
And there's a ton in the regular drop pool too. Some of them are fairly rare,
There's too much to read there. Ah, it's gone.
others fairly common.
Okay, that's outstanding.
Some of them are build defining,
Loadable with a
Totems
killing
create
blow.
supported skills with max life total.
others are just straight up power.
Enemy monster elemental resistant values as inverted.
All in all, there's around 40
So,
lineage supports
ho,
being added
you are
throughout the
super
endgame.
immortal to
So there's
fire.
a lot of
Dying
power
to
find
fire
out
now.
there. Now, the new
Dog.
support gems are certainly going to open
for
up a lot of
sure.
builds, but of course we have a huge range of improvements to individual character classes as well.
Bruh.
As well as adding new skills, we had a big focus on buffing existing skills so that they can scale well into the endgame.
Yes.
There's a huge amount to cover here, so we're not going to discuss everything. We're just going to quick fire through some of the coolest changes. We wanted to make cold a more useful element on the Ranger, so we've expanded
Oh.
the cold tools available.
Yo, did you see that
As
fucking
well as
ability?
increasing its range, Escape Shot now
No, I
creates
missed it.
fragments of ice whenever it hits the ground.
It was like the
These
magic
fragments
archer.
explode after a short
Oh,
time,
yeah.
making the
Like
skill better for killing
fired
groups of
several
enemies.
ice arrows into the air and they all just homed in
But
on a
not
bunch
only
of
that,
targets.
We added an ice fragment support that creates more of them when killing frozen enemies. And a new buff skill called Ice Tipped Arrows that allows all your arrows to create ice fragments.
Heck. Oh, that's so
This
cool.
already gives clear to rangers wanting to use ice. But to take further advantage of the ice
Yeah, there it
fragments,
is.
Freezing Salvo has been upgraded to shoot additional cold arrows towards every fragment, giving you a nuke-like ability.
Oh,
Okay, so it's been
that's
upgraded.
sick.
Yeah, 'cause
We've
before you
also
just kind of
modified
fired it in
Snipe
an
to
area.
Consume frozen from enemies, dealing a huge amount more damage, giving you a nice ice single target option.
That's sick.
And something
That
you might
also
notice about
makes
this is that the bonus is a lot higher
ice
against bosses.
team
This is actually a
viable.
change you'll see throughout the entire game. Since it's a lot harder to freeze a boss, you should get a bigger
Nice.
reward for it.
Dog. If you were running that and I was
Another
running
thing
the
you'll see
build that I
throughout
have
the game is
currently,
making
we would
movement
be
feel better.
fucking unstoppable.
Toxic growth is a skill that was pretty cool, but a bit annoying to use.
Yeah,
with
because
the
I
jump
wonder if
attack.
they're waiting till the end to announce the
Now
character,
Toxic
or
Growth
if
I'm
they're not
hoping
having a
that's
character,
so you
but
can
they're doing
spam it
big
more easily.
reworks.
Yeah, either it's
And we've also added a
100%
new
one of
poison
those
skill
two.
while we
Either
were at
they're
it, called Toxic
letting the
Domain.
anticipation
It
build,
creates a small area
or they don't
around
have
you
it
that
quite
makes
yet.
all your attacks create toxic growth pustules, but attached to monsters. Another skill that was annoying to use was Electrocuting Arrow. It's now
I
just a regular
appreciate the
arrow, making
language
it
he
easy to
uses
use.
too. He's just like, yeah, I found this shit
But
annoying.
it also means you can support it with projectile supports. And it now also has area
There's
of
such a
effect,
candid
making it a
nature
tool
to
for
the way
more
that
than a
they
single target,
communicate.
and allowing it to scale into the endgame. We also added a
Ooh.
new spirit reservation called
That's
Mirage
cool.
Archer. This is
That's
a
so
meta skill
cool.
that allows you to create shadowy
Yes,
clones
finally
of
Mirage
yourself.
Archer,
dodge.
Use a skill
baby.
of your choice.
Oh, sick.
Of course,
Mirage
one of the
Archer
other
was
big
so
problems the
fun.
Ranger had was survivability. Evasion was the weakest of the three defenses, and we wanted to change that.
It was, yeah.
Currently, evasion doesn't evade all types of hits in the game, so you're still vulnerable to things like slams or unblockable attacks.
Yeah.
To make evasion characters more tanky, we're adding a new mechanic called Deflect.
Ah.
Unlike evasion, Deflect works on everything.
When
And
40%
if you
of damage from
successfully
those hits
deflect
and
a
elements
hit,
they
you take
inflict.
40% less damage.
That chance to deflect
Items
also
can
depends
now
on
give
the
you a mob
accuracy.
that gives you some amount of deflection based on your evasion.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And there's a bunch of it available on the passive tree too. Deflection is rolled in addition to evasion,
Nice.
so this is an upgrade for regular hits too. And unlike evasion, there's no maximum chance. You can reach 100% deflect against all hits if you spec into it enough.
Oh my god.
Of course, this is
Ooh.
a buff that helps all dex characters, so the mercenary and the monk, but especially the huntress, are seeing big defense boosts from this as well. Speaking of defensive mechanics,
That
let's
might
talk about
actually
block
make the
and
monk
parry.
as a viable character
Now,
that
one
I'd
of the
want to
big
play.
concerns on the release of the Huntress was parry feeling unreliable. One of the big reasons for this is there's a
Right.
lot of hits that are not blockable, and thus not
Yep.
Because you'd have to
parryable
lock
either.
onto. Yeah.
So a
Hang on a
huge
day.
balance change we're making is that now everything is blockable, except for specifically unblockable red flash skills that bosses use.
Jacob, they've done it. They fucking
Yeah.
done it.
This makes parry
They've reached
much
the
more
magnet.
reliable. And not only that, but to make block and parry nicer to use, you now also move faster than before while using these abilities.
Oh.
This is a massive buff to passive block as well. So to counter that, we did have to lower the max passive block a bit, but overall you should feel much safer.
I don't give a fuck about passive block. I am actively
Fire
blocking.
skills on the warrior
all
were not
time.
really cutting the mustard. So we decided we needed to upgrade a bunch of them, but also add some more as well.
Cutting the mustard.
Ooh.
Let's start with a buff. Volcanic
Yep.
fish are now branches into multiple fishes,
Oh.
giving it much more clearing potential.
Fuck yeah. That's helpful as
We've
shit.
also added a new skill called Forge Hammer.
Oh.
This skill throws a molten hammer that does a slam at a distance.
Ooh.
You just call the hammer back by using the skill again.
Fucking
and fire.
Mjolnir?
But the cooler thing
Fire
is using a war
Mjolnir?
cry now.
Are you kidding me?
Using a war cry makes the hammer
Now we need to
explode,
actually find Mjolnir.
making
Yo.
volcanic fishes around. Volcanic fishes re-trigger when you slam them,
That's so
so it's a
sick.
great skill to make a flaming arena to fight a boss.
So awesome.
We also buffed Perfect Strike to have much larger area of effect, and changed Molten Blast to not always force you to move forward. Trust
Oh,
me, it
thank
feels a lot
God.
better
That was
to use
annoying
now.
as shit.
The skill now has massively boosted chance to ignite monsters as well.
Good. Yeah,
And
it's
you're
kind
going
of
to
worth
want
it.
to ignite monsters due to a new glory skill called Ancestral Cry.
Cool.
Ancestral Cry charges up with glory by igniting monsters, invoking King Kaum's favor. After you do, use it to channel Kaum's ancestral power. Every attack will be
Oh my
ancestrally
god,
boosted
the
with
game
fire.
is breaking.
Your very steps will explode, triggering volcanic fishes.
Every
And
attack will
molten
be
balls will
ancestral.
shoot from your attacks.
What the fuck?
This is ridiculous.
Warrior shield
Yeah.
skills were another area we wanted to improve. Now that we've got sprint, we actually don't need to have a cooldown on shield charge anymore.
Yes!
And now also does more damage the further away you are when you use it. Shield wall got significantly upgraded AoE.
Hell yeah.
Also, you can shield charge right through it to trigger all the walls. We also added a new shield war cry.
Grant's guard.
Fortifying Cry gives you a defensive buff, but it also builds up charge on your shield that empowers your other shield skills. And Magma Barrier now doesn't require timing in order to use. Just wait for your shield to charge up and block.
Oh. Jacob,
Oh, there's auto shoots
Seismic
out.
primes.
that's
if they don't give us
it.
the
Time to
druid, I'm
start.
making another tank.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
And we changed the Sunder interaction with Armor Break. It now also gives a Sundered Armor debuff that makes enemies take 40% extra physical damage. Great for bosses.
Holy fuck,
Ooh.
man.
Ancestral Warrior Totem has undergone some pretty
Great for
significant
bosses.
changes too. We wanted the skill to feel more like using an ultimate. That summoning an ancestor to fight for you was a big deal. So we've changed this totem to require 3 endurance charges to summon, and massively buffed its damage.
Fuck yeah.
It also now scales your weapon damage too.
Look at the fucking magma.
Since there's
Oh
no
my
limit anymore, if you
He
build
did.
around generating endurance charges, you can summon an entire
Yo!
forest of totems.
There's no limit.
It's only
In order
limited
to
by
make
your...
it easier, we added some
That's
new sources of
crazy.
endurance charges.
Oh,
There's now a support to make
stunning
perfect
and
strike
non-unique
generate
enemy with
charges,
supported skills gain
and
3
a support for
into...
generating
Oh my
endurance
god!
charges from heavy stuns.
Oh
as
my
well.
god! You get an endurance charge when you
Speaking of
perfectly...
totems, we wanted to upgrade the Warbringer. Among the other changes we've made to this class, Answered Call now gives an extra totem, and
Yo.
the spirits have just been generally buffed in many ways. Use it with your limitless ancestral warrior
Nice.
forest to make an army of Karui that would make Tukahama proud.
That's sick.
Ancestral Force.
We've also merged the Great Wolf Howl and Warcaller's Bellow support, so that you can get all the benefits with one point.
Or Warcry cooldowns? Are you fucking
And Encased
kidding
in
me?
Jade no longer removes the Jade when getting hit, making it a much better defense. Next up, let's talk
Ooh.
about accuracy. Accuracy was always intended
Yeah.
to be something that warriors didn't need to care about very much so long as they're in close combat. But
well,
unfortunately, that's
Yeah.
not currently the case.
Oh, here we go.
This was particularly annoying with skills
Yeah.
like Bone Shatter, which you certainly don't want to mess with.
Yeah.
So we
You
significantly
take
buffed your
damage.
chance to hit at close ranges when you don't have much accuracy.
Good.
Warriors
Thank
shouldn't
God.
require
Because
any
I was
accuracy
using a
investment in order
two-handed
to hit
weapon
the
in my
close
one
range attacks
hand
now.
with a 10% chance to hit. It was stupid.
We also
Not
wanted
that
to
was
improve
hyperbolic,
armor.
but you know what I mean.
Now, one of the major weaknesses of armor is the inability to defend against elemental damage. In order to
Ooh.
mitigate this, we're adding a lot more of the stat that
Okay.
allows your armor to defend against elemental damage.
Oh
It's now
my
available on
god.
items and in a lot more places on the
Okay.
passive tree.
Oh my god. I'm going to
Nice.
try to make an unkillable
One of
character.
the most important improvements we've made in 030
Holy
is to
shit.
declunk the action and flow of shooting crossbows. You can now reload crossbows without any movement
Okay.
penalty.
Nice.
But not only that, all skills that can be used while moving now slow you for a shorter amount of time. This
Sick.
change benefits everyone, not just crossbow skills.
Awesome,
With both
man.
of these changes put together,
That'll
the
also
run-and-gun
then
playstyle
affect my
feels
shield
much better.
whatever
It's
the
hard to
fuck it
explain
is.
how
I
important
love
this
the running
change
gun
is for the
playstyle.
feel of the class. The Mercenary is also a good chance to talk about how we're rebalancing to make comboing skills much better. Take Shock, for example. It buffs damage and lasts 4 seconds right now, but that isn't really giving you enough time to take advantage of it. If you're going to add a lightning skill into a build that otherwise wouldn't use one, we need to make mechanics like this much better. So we've increased shock duration on monsters to last 8 seconds,
Oh.
and skills like Plasma Blast, which are intended to be good at shocking enemies, now increase the damage bonus by a lot more. You'll find changes like this all around the game. Chill now lasts 8 seconds, giving you more of a reason to weave in cold damage. Freezing skills are better at freezing.
Oh, 8
Burning skills need to
seconds.
cause burns that last longer.
Oh boy,
By making
we are
skills
at,
like
I'm
Permafrost
way
Bolts and
ahead of
Incendiary
you.
Shot double down on how they're supposed to be used, it makes using them in your build alongside other skills
Or
much more likely.
audio-wise, it's just fucked up.
We're also making sure to buff specific combos too.
Watch him in a cave
The
shoot
freeze
some ice.
explosions from frag rounds. now
Oh yeah,
turn to
okay,
melee
no, it's
enemies.
just the audio. Like,
And using high velocity
this,
rounds. with
Oh,
armor
how long
breaking
it took for me to
the
hear your
opponent's armor.
voice was a while.
This causes monsters to take a portion of high velocity rounds damage with
Ooh.
every subsequent hit,
Oh.
even tiny pellets. So that means following it with a shotgun blast is way more effective.
Cool.
Now there's a lot more
This is
buffs to
cool.
crossbow skills, but for now I'm just going to talk about the new one
Order.
we added, the Mortar Cannon. This one lets you socket any grenade skill, and using it will
Oh.
summon a cannon which loads and then fires the grenade you choose.
Dude. Fire in the hole!
That's so sick, actually.
That is so fucking
Then you don't have
awesome.
to worry about shooting yourself.
Another
Oh
issue
my
on the
god, that's
Mercenary were
great.
banners. They were just not
Dude, I
very
just
good,
realized
so we're
too,
doing a big
if
upgrade
it's
to
got
them.
a health
They now
bar
last
and I'm
longer,
actually
don't
able to
disappear when
block
moving out of
properly
them,
now, I could
and we
just
removed
stand
the
in front
Valor
of it.
mechanic. They now just give a much more consistent and stronger buff, and you can use them when you get enough glory. On which, one of the main focuses was making various minion types more useful to use together.
Uh-huh.
Melee minions in particular were just not
here
that
we
great
go.
compared to ranged ones.
Okay.
As a starting point, we just straight up removed the requirement for minions to have accuracy.
Hell yeah. They just
Attack
hit.
minions now always hit, which makes them way better.
Yeah, that'll help a lot.
Brute's got some good numeric buffs, but we also added a new command skill where they do a war cry that intimidates enemies and detonates any frozen monsters and allies around you in a big cold explosion.
Cool.
Ooh.
We've also changed the Frost Mage's command skill to an ability that adds ice armor to your other minions, adding a
Cool.
layer of defense. And it makes them deal cold damage back to the attacker as
Whoa.
well.
Dude.
The ice armor also makes
That's
the
so
minion
sick.
counters
So there's so
frozen,
many
so the brutes
actives
walk
now
right
to
and
be
detonate them
buffing
too.
your goons. That's sick.
Unearth was changed
A
to
lot
work
more
on corpses
active.
of your dead skeletons, allowing you to summon the minions more easily in boss fights.
Sick.
And they also got a new jump ability, allowing you to get into combat faster.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh, cool.
Ray's Spectre
Oh,
was also
thank
feeling
God.
pretty weak for the spirit cost they have. To be honest, we were a
Yes, it
little
was.
afraid of these when we first balanced them. We've both decreased the spirit cost for a large range of monsters, and have
Awesome.
significantly increased Spectre damage too.
Hell
They should
yeah,
feel a
dude.
lot more impactful.
Awesome.
Reminds
That's
me of the
a
minion build.
particular thing you were wanting a change in.
There's also a lot of new
Yeah,
spellcaster
because you'd
weapons
spend
with
like
newer cult
80
skills.
spirit and it would be like the worst
But I'll
fucking
just talk
minion
about
ever.
one of them that I
Oh.
thought was particularly cool. The Reaping Staff is actually a wicked scythe that gives you a new ability called Reap.
Oh.
When an enemy is low in life, you can dash forward and rake enemies with the scythe to
Ooh.
cull them instantly, healing them.
Dude.
It can also inflict critical weakness on enemies too.
Healing you too.
Now, there's a lot of balance changes in the Witcher's Ascendancy classes, but I'll just talk about two of them for now. On the Blood Mage, you were previously required to spend your first points on Sangomancy, which really was supposed to be the downside for being able to access the powerful abilities on the rest of the class. In order to make picking the Blood Mage a better early option, we made Sangomancy free, unlocking the power of the rest of the class immediately.
Nice.
On the Infernalist, the Demon form wasn't something people were really using because you lost your weapon stats while transformed.
Yep.
Well, you no longer do.
Yeah.
So it's a much better
Okay,
option
wait.
now.
Oh. Dude.
On the Monk, the
I don't
wind
want to do
skills
that
needed a
then.
big
I don't know what I want to do now.
Everything is
Staggering
good
Calm
now.
can stack
Everything
up
is good.
duration
That's
if
the
you use the
issue.
multiple
We're
times
gonna
in a
have to
row.
do like
I love
fucking
the demon
70
form.
hours
All
per
your skills
character,
thrown
and
up
we're
will
gonna
be
make
much more
like
easier.
4.
Nice.
Wind Blast had the purpose of building up to dazing an enemy, but dazing just wasn't worth all that effort. Now it just dazes on hit, meaning a single Wind Blast will make all your skills stun enemies more easily. Following up with Vaulting Impact on
Okay.
a dazed enemy previously did a bunch of stun. Now it allows you to break your enemy's stance. When their stance is broken, following up with a fast attack will do way more damage. A cool build that certain people always enjoyed in PoE 1 was hand-to-hand combat. But
Punching!
until now, we just didn't have a real way to make
Wait
it
a minute.
viable.
Wait a minute.
Well, that changes now.
Wait a minute.
The Monk, as a true martial artist, now has the ability to learn the Hollow Palm technique.
Yo.
A keystone that lets you use all quarterstaff skills.
No
while unarmed.
shot.
Oh my god.
All quarterstaff attacks now have
That's
a special
so sick.
unarmed
Punching
version,
build, Ethan.
and you get further bonuses to all your attacks
I'm
from stacking
gonna
energy
make a
shield
monk
and
now.
evasion on your character.
That's so
That
sick.
is incredible. It's so fucking
I
cool.
need to send this to Mentor
A
now.
new
huh?
keystone we
Oh,
also
yeah.
added to the Monk section of the tree is Walker of the Wilds.
Look how cool. That looks so
Melee
fun,
changes
actually.
based on
To work
elemental
with
damage
elemental
type
damage
instead of
instead of
physical.
physical. Which is
This
pretty
looks
useful
so
for
fun.
those elemental attacks the Monk has.
Oh.
But it works well
The
for the range
speed that this man is just throwing hands is amazing.
Now, one of the least used Ascendancy classes in the game
I
is
just
the
heard a
Acolyte
ding.
of
I don't know what it
Chiyora.
is though.
So we knew we needed
There
to
it
make
is,
some
thank you.
changes here. One of the key things we had to do was make the chaos damage that the Acolyte can do much more useful. So we've added a new
Okay.
skill, allowing chaos damage to ignite, shock, chill, and freeze.
Holy
embracing
shit.
the elemental prowess of the monk in a truly
Oh.
chaotic fashion.
Okay.
In
I'm
addition,
gonna
you can
punch
make
all
this
the
chaos
elements into
damage
your
leak.
soul,
I almost
bozo.
like you guys play the
And we'll
game or
buff
something.
into the
you know?
breach and embrace the
Yeah.
darkness by moving the effects of the 4-point nodes
Yeah.
into the base skills.
Who would have thought if you play the game that you're
Basically,
making,
nice.
Also
you
gains a
can
new
make it
notable,
better?
Grasp of the Void,
Yeah.
which leaves void illusions behind you as you dodge roll.
Look at
If
the
they're killed,
amount.
they do massive explosions of darkness, dealing damage to everything in sight.
Bruh. Those fucking
Now let's
black
talk about
holes are cool
sorceress
as shit.
skills. One of the things we wanted to improve on the
Okay.
Soul is the ability to use multiple elements together more effectively.
Oh. You don't say.
Now, this might seem small, but one of the things pushing you towards using a single element is debuffs like elemental curses, which lower resistances of a single element. In order to fix that, we're making quite a lot of game-wide changes to these kinds of mechanics to broaden what they apply to. So for example, there's no longer 3 curses for fire, ice, and lightning. Instead, there's just a single curse that buffs all 3 at the same time.
Oh.
And things like Frostbomb, which gave you cold exposure, now give elemental exposure. You can use it to buff any of your other skills.
Okay, so they've just made the
Nice.
character
You
that I
also
was
wanted to make
working on
switching
most
between different
recently
weapons
Yeah.
smoother. So you can use different
from
elemental staves more
ungodly viable to
effectively. To do that,
a
we've
god.
removed the weapon
This
switch
is
time,
insane.
And now happens instantly.
It's
This
literally
applies
just
game-wide too.
Yes, they removed weapon switch time.
Now, we didn't just
Oh
want to
my
stop there.
god.
We wanted to add some specific mechanics that work between different elements. And that's where elemental infusions come in.
oh.
Certain skills can now drop elemental infusions. For example, When a frost bomb explodes, it leaves behind a cold infusion on the ground. After picking it up, you can spend it on one of any number of different skills to transform how they work.
Uh-huh.
Spark will create a nova of cold infused projectiles.
Dude.
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 Ice Nova
This
will
is
leave a chilled
so
area on the
cool.
ground.
Dude, they literally just took
And we also
the
added a new
character
logo
that I
skill
was
that fires
making
ice
work
shards.
without all
Use it
of
with
this
cold
and
infusion,
given it
though,
all
and
of
the ice
this.
shards will explode.
Yo!
Orb of Storms now generates lightning infusions when you cast enough spells near it.
Holy shit.
And that's all spells, by the way, not just lightning.
Bruh.
Once you have one, you could cast a lightning flame wall, which adds both fire and lightning damage to
my
all the
God.
projectiles that pass through it. Or power up Ember Fusillade with lightning, which will generate arcs to nearby enemies. as you
Yo!
hits.
That's
What
so
in the
cool
infamous am I looking at? That's
Or
sick!
maybe go lightning on
My
lightning.
voice
with
cracked.
This skill is now a projectile, and by infusing it, you can go full
looking. Lightning
Palpatine.
on light. Bruh. Dude.
Get fire infusions
Palpatine.
by blowing up monsters with living bombs.
You said the thing.
Then use them with Comet to summon a giant fire meteor from the sky.
Yo!
Or use it with Firestorm, which transforms it from a small area into a much bigger
All
one.
these. Okay, honestly, if they don't have a
Firestorm
character
is
now.
unique
I
in that
see
it can
like
be
what they
infused
were
by
cooking
multiple
though.
different elements at the
Uh-huh.
same time.
You just like try all the
Add an
characters
ice
again.
infusion
Now
to
they're
rain
better.
down ice at the
Yeah,
same
we've
time as the fire.
reworked every one of them to be significantly cooler.
And add lightning to add deadly strikes from the heavens into the mix.
Oh my god.
Or use it with all three to generate a storm that is truly apocalyptic.
Oh my god.
Oh, it looks so
I'm going to be
cool.
doing that at all
Expensive to
times.
turn
Our
into? Snap.
fucking
Yeah.
PlayStations are going
Previously, you
to
could use it to
start
shatter
on fire.
ice, but now it works to detonate all of the different elemental ailments
Oh my
and makes
God.
them leave behind infusions.
Oh my god.
And just like how you could previously use it on Frostbolt, you can now also use it on Orb of Storms and Solar Orb to detonate those as well. Which means you can create many infusions at once.
My god, dude.
Good lord.
We also have a Spirit Reservation skill and a support gem to help generate them too.
Remnant, fire remnant. Additional remnant.
Okay.
On the passive tree,
Remnant,
we've
yeah.
added quite a few new keystones to the Sorceress section. Here are a couple of examples. The Black Flame Covenant keystone converts your fire spells to chaos
Oh.
and causes your ignites
Chaos
to deal chaos
damage.
damage.
Oh, that's insane.
Your fire spells and ignites will also turn purple.
Oh,
That's so sick.
it's so
The
cool.
Cadence keystone causes your invocation skills
they're
to trigger
cooking.
more times.
Oh,
It makes them trigger periodically over a longer duration instead of one. Great for those auto bomber builds.
oh my god.
That's-
Now, in addition to
lovely.
skill changes, we've added a lot more options for the passive tree for each
Oh,
class.
here we go.
Overall,
lot.
there are more than 100 new
much
notables
is
on
a lot,
the tree.
sir?
Usually around 20 per class, along with smaller clusters as well.
Jesus.
Check out the old version. And here's
Oh
the new
my
version. It's
god.
a lot more dense and there's more
Bruh.
information than before.
Holy, it's a whole new game.
Now, we probably can't go through
What
too many
the
of these in the live
fuck?
stream, so I'll just show you one from each class's
Dude, this,
area of
we're
the
gonna
tree.
spend the first
We tried to be
20
a lot
hours
more thematic
looking
with the new
through all
nodes.
of this.
So, for example, the Molten One's Gift.
Fire
It lets the
resist-
benefit of Armor Break apply to your fire damage. Or how about Last Stand, which gives you lots of stats as your situation becomes more and more desperate.
Jesus.
A lot of these have themes aligned
Dude,
with
I
the
kind
ascendancy
of want to make the
classes.
fist
Like for the
fighting monk.
Channeling
That looks
Legionnaire,
so
for example.
cool.
You have crystallized immunities, which makes you immune to different status ailments, depending on which support gem color you have socketed the
Okay.
most. Another Ascendancy class aligned notable is Sanguimatic
Yeah.
Rituals.
Oh,
It allows arcane surges to
Oh.
generate life instead of mana,
Oh.
unlocking that support gem to be used with the Blood Mage Ascendancy.
Oh.
oh my god, dude.
In the Sork area,
That's
you'll
so
find
sick.
these Archon nodes that allow you to convert all of your elemental damage to a specific element. You become a Lightning Archon when you spend enough mana, after which all your
Palpatine?
skills will be converted to
Palpatine.
lightning, and you will do extra lightning damage as
Make a
well.
Palpatine, bro.
We have ones for cold and fire too.
See, now I
with
want to make a
different
minion
triggers.
build, a punching build.
There's a different
lightning
ones for
build.
cold and fire.
Elemental Practitioner gives crit bonuses if you've triggered a skill recently, while also making crits generate more energy for triggers. Or maybe you'd like the Great Boar.
Nice.
It gives you a reason to stack dexterity to make you tougher, giving a bonus to life and stun threshold.
Okay, that's actually kind of cool.
Or the Cunning Fox. Its
What?
strike gives you 5% quality to all your gems.
That's awesome.
Now, another major
Okay,
change
yeah,
is
that's
attribute
cool.
requirements. We felt like players probably had a few too many nodes and attributes, and not enough in interesting passives.
Yes.
So we lowered attribute requirements by 25%
Okay.
across the
Oh.
board.
Let's go. Oh my
That means you have more
god.
points to spend on interesting notables
Which also
rather than
means
just
that
needing to allocate
two-handed
more
in one
strength
hand
to
is now
X-Men.
viable.
Now, there are way more changes than just these. These are just some of the cooler ones we wanted to show off. But I'd say that's just about enough for now. We're not even half done yet. So I think it's time that we talk about the League, the rise of the Abyssal, And to do that, I'd like to hand things over to Mark.
Not even half done yet.
As
What
you
the
just
fuck?
saw, even though there are major changes to the campaign for this update, we want to make sure that every time you come back for an expansion, each area feels different with something extra going on. It is really important to make sure your experience when returning between expansions is fresh and filled with new content. And the way we did this was through leagues. Every expansion we make has a league, which not only has a fresh economy, but also has new content exclusively available in that league. So, let's delve into the details of what Path of Exile 2's first official league is bringing to the table. The Abyssal are a race that have mastery of forbidden magics and necromancy. They were thought to be extinct, but have merely been biding their time underground. You first encounter signs of the Abyssal in Clairfell, where you discover that during the night, weaker members of the Undead Legion have been attacking the encampment. The townsfolk
riddled
require
with
your
arrows,
help
bro.
to investigate where the monsters are coming from and put a stop to their attacks.
Out there, ancient creatures, lurking beneath the surface.
As you proceed through Rayclast, you'll find fissures in the earth connected to larger pits. The monsters normally inhabiting the area are being affected by it, harmed by it even, having their souls eaten to strengthen the abyssal underground.
Whoa.
As you defeat the monsters, the fissure closes and abyssal emerge, angered by you killing their food. Once all those fissures have been sealed, the pit activates, and more abyssal pour
I
out.
love that hammer throw, dude.
This is where the larger and more dangerous monsters reveal themselves.
Oh, there's
as
a hole.
hordes of abyss will spew out from the pit to take your soul. If you kill a magic pack, then magic abyss will arise. If you kill a rare, then a rare monster will emerge from the pit, having absorbed some or all of its
Wow.
modifiers for itself.
That's gonna be really
This
annoying
means the
and
monsters
really good
emerging
for
will
loot.
generally be more difficult and more rewarding, as each modifier gives better rewards.
Bro, we're gonna find someone that we
If you are
barely
able to
beat
kill
and get
them
hit
all,
with one of
the
those.
pit will seal shut. As each pit is closed, it reveals a potential reward. Abyssal troves will rise up out of the pits, allowing you to get some epic loot.
Nice.
Areas often contain many pits, with many fissures, and the amount goes up as you progress through the game, getting more intense.
Sick. So basically,
It
more
doesn't
loot
stop
across
there.
the board, more
when
difficulty
monster
across
mods are
the board.
absorbed, they have a chance to become infused with the dark necromancy, transforming them into abyssal modifiers. For example, you defeat this monster with the Mana Siphoner modifier. Their soul is eaten by the pit, and a rare monster emerges. The Mana Siphoner modifier has transformed into Soul Siphoner, and is now amplified in danger and reward. Abyssal
Oh my
pits
God, the
also
tornado.
interact with other monsters and mechanics. If you defeat a rogue exile that's near one, it'll be revived as a Lichborn that has multiple abyssal modifiers.
Ooh.
Lichborn exiles
Oh,
even have their own
man.
unique jewel they can drop, if you are lucky enough to encounter and kill them.
Okay.
Okay.
If an abyss spawns near a boss, killing it will summon a gigantic Giga Larvae creature.
Yo.
Monsters imprisoned in essences near abyssal pits are affected by the abyss too. They will come with an
Essence of the
additional new
abyss.
essence item that can be used to craft your items.
What does it do?
So, that's your bread and butter of the
You'll never
Abyssal
know.
League. Kill surface-dwelling monsters, kill the emerging abyssal, close the fissures, overcome pit encounters, and reap the rewards. There's a lot more to this league, however. As you complete abysses, you can find ancient pieces of bone, preserved from the remains of fallen Lichborn. These are one of the many rewards for your mission to seal the pits. You can use this on a rare item to imbue it with abyssal
Desecrate
magic,
something?
Ooh.
adding a special hidden modifier to your item.
Ooh.
But how do you reveal it?
Ooh.
In Act 2 of the campaign, you'll encounter a new area.
Okay.
This area is overrun by the Abyssal and the Lost Men. After clearing through this area, you'll find the Well of Souls, a giant cavity with a massive vortex of souls swirling beneath you.
Ooh.
So how do you reveal the mods on your Abyssal-infused items? Obviously, just throw them in, right? Yes, that's exactly what you do. Before throwing it in, you are given the option of how you want to transform it, in the form of a choice of 3 different modifiers.
Okay.
Okay, so this is basically
Once you've
how-
chosen your
That's
desired
sick.
mod, throw it in, where it will absorb the power of the souls, and the ominous creature will then retrieve it for you. These modifiers can be ones from the core mod pool, all the way through to specialized modifiers that cannot normally appear on items.
What?
During the campaign, you can use it as a way to more easily add useful existing mods. But during the endgame, there is a whole set of new and powerful mods you can add to your items.
That's stellar, man.
Like this mod for crossbows that allows you to place an additional ballista totem. Or this one that adds spirit to your staff.
Jesus.
Or this one that allows you to generate more
Spirit to
combo with
staff.
your quarterstaff skills.
Ooh.
And speaking of endgame, you can also use the system to craft waystones.
Oh,
With a preserved
damn.
vertebrae fused into your waystones, you can get some new modifiers that push difficulty and rewards to new heights. Here are some examples
That's
of
good
those
for people
mods.
to get there.
You always get a choice of 3, so you can avoid anything you don't think your character is capable of. With this modifier, the natural inhabitants of the area are all spawned near abysses. And there are up to 9 additional abyssal pits in the area, making it just a full-on abyss ruckus. Or this one, which causes the final abyssal pit in the area
just punching
to
the
always
shit out of
result in
that
a boss
fucking bell.
encounter.
I
Be
know.
it either one underground
pretty sick.
or one that emerges out. There are dozens of these waystone modifiers in total you can get from this crafting. That covers the new crafting mechanic. So what's left? Well, we talked about how when closing pits you can get abyssal troves, but sometimes when closing an abyss, you'll reveal an underground cavern that leads to the abyssal depths. After jumping into the depths, you'll find an abyssal city, swarming with legions of the undead. When underground, every single rare abyssal enemy will have an abyssal modifier. And at the end of the dungeon, you'll even find a rare with a more powerful Lichborn modifier. Once you're able to defeat this powerful rare, you can also find some nice rewards. Aside from the entire area being valuable due to the abyssal modifiers on the monsters, it has its own specific drops too. One example is a set of lineage supports that can rarely be found in these depths, like Kurgel's Leash. This support empowers both you and your minions when you command them, granting unholy might to you both. Another depth-specific outcome is a set of omen-like items that amplify your abyssal crafting. Additionally, we're adding some new socketables that can drop from the abyssal depths. Take Ulaman's Gaze, which can be socketed into your armor. These are a bit special in that you can only have one equipped at a time, but give some pretty powerful effects. Think of them as almost a unique socketable for your equipment.
Sick.
In the endgame, where you can still find depths, you also start to find a different type of underground chamber. In these areas, you'll find an ancient spire, a device being used by commanders of the abyssal factions to plunge Rayclast into a lightless void. Your goal is simple. Kill this commander and destroy the spire.
He says the goal is simple. He's done 70,000 damage.
There are 4 bosses in the Abyss League, and there are some pretty cool uniques available from them.
Ah, sick.
An example is this belt, Darkness Enthroned. It has 2 sockets. But hold on, socketables don't work on belts.
It's a helmet.
Well, this belt has a special mod that allows it to count as a different
Dude, they're
slot
just
for the purpose of
expanding
socketables.
options. That's outstanding.
This one, for example, counts as a helmet. I kind of want one that counts as a body armor. I wonder how rare that one is. You can also find this unique jewel, Undying Hate. This jewel transforms part of your passive skill tree into an abyssal version.
Whoa.
And has multiple depths.
Dude.
The deeper it goes, the more of your passive tree is affected, allowing you to fulfill your fantasy of becoming part Abyssal Lich.
That's so cool.
Now, the last thing that Abyssal Commanders can drop is a Finger of the Lich. But what use do you have with a random undead finger? Well, the next time you return to the Well of Souls, with the finger in your inventory, your character will almost feel compelled. To do what, though, you might ask? To jump in. The items you threw in came back more powerful, right? So, what's the worst that could happen? Well, you will just have to find that one out for yourself.
Sweet.
Along with the introduction
Oh,
of Act
they
4
won't tell us.
and the interlude, we will be adding 25 new in-game maps.
Yo.
These maps will contain all the new monsters
That's a
and
lot.
bosses we're adding, improving variety and giving you opportunities to experience the new boss fights
Excellent.
many times. Let's take a look at some examples. Rock Pools is a map where you explore a shallow rocky coastline, surrounded by coral and filled with sirens. At the end is a giant Goblin King boss,
Ew.
ready to eat sulfite and squish you like a bug.
Eat sulfite.
Holton is an Ezomite township which has seen better days. Explore and clear the township to find a gothic, Reaper-like boss, with the ability to manipulate storms and fry you with both lightning and wither you with chaos. Given some of the new bosses added are a bit more epic, such as the Act boss and final bosses of each interlude part,
Oh.
it would be a bit of a waste to just use them as regular map bosses. Instead, we'll be adding some new mechanics to the Atlas that use them.
Oh.
These start appearing pretty fast into the endgame and will help bridge the gap until you do your pinnacle bosses.
Sick.
In the desert biome, you can encounter a wild sandstorm. 3 maps around the sandstorm contain a device you must activate. Upon doing this, the sandstorm's magic is disrupted, revealing the map inside and allowing you to access it and find the cause.
Sick.
This presents itself in the form of a boss, similar to the existing Citadel bosses. This boss is a Faradin Swordmaster, who has been blessed with the power of a time gem,
Like this
allowing him
arena.
to take his swordsmanship to the next level by replicating himself, maneuvering rapidly, and severing the fabric of time itself with his powerful slashes.
Holy shit.
In the
Wow.
water biome, you'll encounter a giant maelstrom, where one of the maps surrounding the water biome connects to it, but the connection is obscured. You must run the maps nearby, hoping to find a beacon, which will remove the maelstrom and reveal the connection to that map. Another example is this Vaal vault in the mountain biome. But how do we get inside? Running the adjacent maps to it will yield a key, which you can then use to gain access to this vault. Or, you could just trade for one, I guess. Use the key to dispel the powerful force field surrounding it, leading to the Vaal Elite and their rewards inside. These all contain Uber versions of the Act 4 boss, and the bosses at the end of each part of the interlude. And each have their own exclusive drop pool of new lineage supports, which, as Jonathan spoke about earlier,
Nice.
are powerful support gems that modify your skills in pretty crazy ways. As an example of a lineage support which can come from the Faradin Swordmaster mentioned earlier, we have Garukhan's Resolve, which causes your critical strikes to fork, but requires some mobility on your part to properly enable.
Huh.
From the boss sealed in the Vaal
Active blood
Vault,
shield.
we have Paquate's Pact, which supports your war cries, causing them to inflict massive amounts of corrupted blood at the cost of your own life.
So if you can
Additionally,
sustain yourself,
some
you
maps can now
fuck them
spawn
up.
summoning circles, a room resembling an Ezomite henge. Activating this henge will spawn bosses. It's as simple as that.
Sick.
Okay.
We'll also be
Here's
making
your new.
changes to how
Would you
affixes
like
on
to fight a
waystones
boss?
work.
Interactable.
As the current prefixes equals good, suffixes equals bad, iteration isn't quite hitting the mark. We tried something new here in Path of Exile 2, but after seeing the feedback, we decided we actually liked what we had in Path of Exile 1 more. Like Path of Exile 1, each affix will now be both difficult and rewarding. Waystone mods now grant an increase to the number of waystones dropped, and an additional specific upside attached to it. This means as you roll your map, they will continue to get more difficult and more rewarding, and allow you to customize the difficulty and rewards of your maps better. For example, the Frostbitten mod, which causes enemies to deal cold damage, also increases the rarity of items dropped as its upside. Whereas the Of Venom suffix modifier, which causes enemies to poison on hit, has the upside of granting increased pack size. Some maps will end up having a lot of rarity, some a lot of pack size, and others will just have a mixture of everything. Due to now having more modifiers granting difficulty, we will of course be reducing the difficulty per modifier to account for this. So, That's your Atlas, maps, and waystones. But what about Breach, Ritual, Pinnacle content, and others of the sort? We're making some changes around this too. The first change is that you'll now be able to invest 2 points into your specific League Atlas trees before having to run the Pinnacle content. There will be a specific objective for each type of content
nice,
that grants
actually.
you those points. For example, in the case of Delirium,
Jesus.
it's simple. You just need to find and kill one of the bosses in a map, Omniphobia or Kosis. The rest of the points for each content come from the Pinnacle content, but we're making some changes to accessibility here too. Currently, access to most Pinnacle content requires the same key at the easiest and most difficult version of the content. This creates a negative feeling where at lower difficulties, instead of wanting to run the content, you're often better off just selling it to someone who can run it at maximum difficulty. To address this, each content will now drop splinters, which will not form into singular items. Instead of using the singular combined item in the realm gate, you can now just bring your splinters. Upon inserting the splinters into the realm gate, an interface will appear, allowing you to pick your difficulty, and you'll notice each difficulty has a different entry cost. This means if you want to run easier difficulties, it costs less, which also allows you to run this content much sooner into the endgame.
Cool.
Because these encounters now just require splinters, their corresponding Atlas tree no longer affects the difficulty of them, and has been changed to purely affect the content and maps on the Atlas. The Arbiter of Ash works a bit differently. Instead of requiring splinters, he still needs crisis fragments. We now have only 2 difficulties of the Arbiter. The first, requiring the existing fragments obtained from citadels. The second, Uber Arbiter, requires Calamity fragments. These come from citadel bosses also, but only once you've allocated the maximum number of points in your boss Atlas tree, ensuring those citadels are at their highest difficulty level. Since we're talking about Pinnacle content, we also felt that the leveling curve in the late game was a bit too steep.
Nice.
We've smoothed this out a bit so that it's easier to get to the mid-90s.
Nice, mid-90s.
We've also added some new in-game unique items.
We'll see how that
take a
affects
look at a
us.
couple. Thunderfist is a pair of gloves that grants Crackling Palm, a skill which empowers your unarmed attacks, granting the ability to call down the storms themselves on enemies you hit.
That's okay, dude.
Put simply,
Are we making punching builds? Like, what are we doing
every
here?
monster you hit with your unarmed skills will be struck by powerful
Look at how
lightning.
cool this is.
Pair this with the aforementioned Hollow Palm technique to embrace your true unarmed prowess in combat.
It's hilarious because this
Another
active
unique
effect
we're
that they
adding
just
is
have
Hemicor's
here
Sight.
is literally
Equip
what
this
Mjolnir
amulet to be
does
granted the
in
power
an
of the
Assassin's
Mother of
Creed
Death
fucking
Yeah.
Valhalla.
This is reflected by granting you a skill
future
called
past.
Foresight. While you have Foresight, your dodge roll no longer avoids hits. But instead, being hit while dodge rolling restores you to full life and makes you unable to die for a brief period of time. You'll notice when this does occur, a copy of your character appears and takes the full damage. This is you seeing that future, as if you hadn't been wearing the amulet.
Wow.
Ultimately, your in-game experience should be more
Dude,
streamlined,
that is
with
incredible.
new content
That's
to
so
find.
sick.
Dude,
You'll
they've
be
added
able to
so
invest
much
in your
dope
Atlas tree
shit.
sooner, engage with Pinnacle content faster, have less FOMO running said Pinnacle content, reach higher levels easier, and do all of that while finding many new chase endgame items. Talking about finding items is one thing, but what about crafting them?
Okay, yes,
We've
please
taken
tell me
a
you've done
step
a lot of
back
crafting.
and looked at some of our crafting systems to make some notable improvements. Let's start with essences, which suffered from an issue where the regular essences were effectively useless and didn't give players the tools or excitement that a crafting system should provide. To alleviate these concerns, essences are being changed in a few ways.
Alright.
Firstly, they're being changed to function like regals and add specific modifiers with specific values, meaning you know exactly what you're going to get.
Oh my god.
We found that players were often
that's
bottlenecked by
fantastic.
regal orbs when crafting in the campaign, so this helps to fill that gap, allowing you to better upgrade your items.
That's fucking awesome.
For example, this Lesser Essence of Flames, which will be able to add a flat amount of fire damage to your magic martial weapons. Secondly, we're adding many more tiers.
Nice.
That Lesser
Holy
Essence
shit.
of Flames, for example, has a regular
tiers,
variant and a greater variant too, adding even more fire damage with each upgrade.
Sick.
The intention of this is so that when you find one early on, you don't worry about holding on to it till later to use on a higher level item. You should feel free to use them
exactly
as
what
they
I've been
come
doing.
to get powerful upgrades during the campaign. Lastly, our highest tier of essences, now called perfect essences, will function like a
Branox
chaos orb
gifted.
instead of a regal. So it will replace one of the modifiers on your rare items with the specified mod, such as this perfect essence of flames. You'll notice this one doesn't just add flat fire damage like the ones before it. The perfect essences often give something a bit different,
Percentage?
with some opportunities to be pretty damn powerful.
Removes it. Oh
There
my
are
God.
many different essences, each with many tiers, covering many of the more core modifiers you'd want on items early on, through to chase specialized ones for in-game. Speaking of in-game, we really wanted to expand our crafting options for late in-game crafting projects. You might have noticed that at in-game, you get way too many transmutes. Wouldn't it be nice if some of those didn't drop, but instead you got something a little more powerful? At higher levels, you can now find Greater Orb of Transmutation and Perfect Orb of Transmutation.
Nice.
These can be used on normal items
Nice.
to upgrade them to magic, ensuring that the modifier generated is of a minimum level.
Good.
This
Good,
is
good,
similar
good.
to how you find higher
Fantastic.
tier items on the ground.
So
But
you're
for
not just going to get a random, here's 3%
these
to your
higher
cold
tiers will
resistance,
also
bitch.
exist for Orb of Augmentation, Regal Orb, Exalted Orb, and Chaos Orb, meaning you can get all of the orbs required to take your
yes.
item from normal rarity to a fully completed rare with guaranteed high tier
Again, it's gonna
mods.
make like the level
Ah,
progression
yeah.
so much better.
On top of these new core
Definitive
crafting
rather than
bonuses,
RNG.
we wanted to make sure there are powerful
Fucking
crafting
awesome.
bases to use them on. Now in endgame, you can start to find exceptional items. These are items that drop at normal rarity and are perfect for your from-scratch crafting projects.
Fuck yeah.
They can come with extra quality, up to 30%, or an additional socket to use your crafting socketables in.
Fuck yeah.
And yes, they can be corrupted for yet another socket.
Damn.
You can also get exceptional unique items.
God damn it.
To add
I
even
wanted to
further
read that.
to your crafting
Electrocution.
arsenal,
Ooh.
we've added a whole suite of new omens to ritual content, and removed
It
some
says
of the
something
more
about
unimpactful
your lightning
ones
contributes
that
to
weren't being used.
electrocution buildup on fists.
Some of the new omens
Ooh.
include the
That'd be
Omen of
awesome.
the Ancients, which will cause your next Orb of Chance to not destroy the item,
Oh.
but generate a random unique of the
Wha-
same class.
Oh,
Or
fuck.
the Omen of Sanctification. which
We're going
is
into
my
a new league.
favorite.
Never mind.
This will cause your
'Cause I
next
fucking
divine orb
wasted
used
one
on
of
a
those
rare
last
item
league.
to re-roll the values of its modifiers, allowing it to exceed the normal minimum and maximum values,
Oh.
raising the ceiling on the
Oh
new
my
most powerful rare
God.
items in the game.
Holy
This omen
shit.
will also cause your item to become sanctified. Sanctified items cannot be crafted, just like corrupted ones, so
Okay.
consider carefully when you use this. Another is the
Okay.
Omen of Chaotic Monsters, which will cause your next Chaos Orb to reroll all modifiers on a Waystone, allowing you to fix your maps if you get some modifiers that are not feasible for your build.
Hell yeah. And it makes it actually have a
Besides
fucking
these examples, there is a huge variety of new omens for you to discover in your ritual encounters. With the release of Act 4, notably taking place in the Karori Archipelago, you'll be able to now find a new currency item, Henikora's Lock.
Allows an item to
Henikora,
foresee the
the
change?
Karori goddess of death, has the power of foresight and is able to see
That's
many
insane.
futures, including the outcome of your next
Wow.
craft. So, imbuing her lock onto an item gives you that same power too. For example, you'll know whether or not to use an Exalted Orb on your item, as you will know exactly what the outcome is. So, with all these new crafting improvements, it's safe to say you're going to be making some epic items, and not necessarily just ones for
And
yourself.
trade 'em.
So given that, it's
Hey.
time to talk about a
I can
massive
finally trade without being
Trade.
sketched out by some scammers.
Yeah.
It's finally here. The moment we've all been waiting for.
Thank God.
Fully asynchronous
Yep.
trade. Over the years, the way players trade with each other in Path of Exile 1 has morphed from using the forums, through to the in-game chat, all the way through to using the website. These systems, in all their iterations, work for a while, but with each iteration, new problems eventually reveal themselves. Be it requiring you to be in your hideout too much instead of out there killing monsters, or never getting responses from people who are either AFK or just can't be bothered.
All AFK. That was me.
In
I would
order
always try to
finally
do like
solve
AFK,
this,
and like even the
and
website
this
would
has
say
been
they're
a
online, and
long
they'd still be
time
AFK.
we're adding a new system that allows you to buy items from other players without requiring the seller to be present. They can continue farming,
It's
killing
like Path of Exile
monsters,
1
AFK
constantly.
as they
Fantastic.
please, and can even be offline.
Thank fucking God.
With the introduction of
You just
King's
roll
Thank
back in
fucking
and get
God.
you will
fucking
encounter
payment in your
Ange,
mail.
Oh, it's so
assistant
nice.
to Rog in the Meridian Free Traders Company. Over the last 2 decades or so, since Path of Exile 1's storyline, Faustus has handed down his knowledge and expertise to Ange, and she is now ready to take over his business. If you have a hideout unlocked already, you can immediately invite her there.
Sick.
If you don't have a hideout yet, you will need to acquire one. You can do this by completing a quest to defeat one of the bosses inhabiting an island in Act 4.
Oh, you can
Allowing
get
you
a
then to
house
take a
from
slice
Act
of it for
4.
yourself, making it your new home and base of operations. Once invited to your hideout, she will now serve as operating your currency exchange, but also serve as the figurehead in your new trading empire.
Ooh.
So, how does this new system work? In the existing trade system,
Whoa.
you
Big
would
sales.
list items for sale in premium stash
Yes,
chests.
thank you.
And then when someone
then
wanted
it's
one,
just there.
you'd have to take it out for yourself
Yep.
and trade it to them.
Yep, now it just auto does it.
Now, instead of using those, you can give your items to Ange so she can sell them for you.
Oh,
Each
yeah.
item must have a price set.
Yep.
The prices
Just
are
sell,
set
sell
using
it for this
in-game
price,
currency
please. Okay, I'm gonna go
items,
play the game now.
such as Exalted Orbs or Chaos Orbs. Once a price is set, other players will be able to find the item by searching for it on the trade website.
You just fucking.
Once a
That's
desired
wonderful.
item has been found, you can hit a button, which will instantly teleport your character in-game to their hideout.
Oh.
Then, you can immediately purchase the item. And while there, if you want, browse their other goods. In case
There's
there's
other
a
shit.
good deal someone
That's
else
so
hasn't
sick.
yet
Oh,
discovered.
interesting. So we're traveling
You're,
to
they're
their
all like
hideout.
hideout.
shop owners.
On top of
Yeah,
the
you teleport to their
currency the
hideout,
seller
now
set
you're
for
looking
the
at their
price,
whole thing, you
it
just
But
start
that
also
still
purchasing
requires
shit.
you
to
using the
purchase an
fucking
item.
website.
As Ange has bills
I guess
to pay
so.
after all.
It's better though, because now you don't have
As
to
a
worry about
seller,
them
you'll
teleporting to you. You
immediately
don't
receive
interact
a
at all.
notification when an item of yours is sold, and can also see an effect above Ange in your hideout when she has unclaimed currency. Just go talk to her, claim your currency, and continue playing at your leisure. As many people already acquired premium stash tabs for the purpose of the trade system, we wanted to add a way for you to convert your existing tabs to merchants tabs, if you want. You can do that here, on the website, but only if you purchase those tabs before the release of the third edict. To clarify, the existing trade system will remain fully intact, so your premium stash tabs will not lose any of their functionality. We just figured people might want to switch over to this new system. We expect a lot of feedback around this new system and are looking forward to trying it out with you. As we are not able to test internally with an entire, thriving economy, there will certainly be some kinks to work out. Based on how the system goes, we will be adding it to Path of Exile 1
I do
when
like
ready,
that you
so
like
any of the tabs
if
you
someone is
purchase
selling shit,
will
you
also
can
be
just go
usable
to
there
like
later.
teleport you to the hideout to then look at like their whole
Next
stash.
up,
Yeah,
Look
that
at
is
their
quite
be
nice.
talking
actual
about
trader.
What
new
they're
supporter
selling.
packs.
Because, yeah, you could be like, wow, that's a really good
Today,
item. What
Like,
the fuck
the
else
pack's
are they
really cool.
selling?
I want
New
that
series of
actually. Fuck
supporter
the other thing.
packs.
Ooh, new
The
supporter pack.
Justice
Oh.
and Trathan
Okay, here we go.
Executioner
Oh.
packs.
Oh,
Each tier contains the pack's
That looks
full
so
face
cool.
value in points, alongside several exclusive
Look at that little
microtransactions.
griffin.
Am I gonna
As
have to spend
always,
more money?
The microtransactions
Probably.
in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. The Justice series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. Claim glory after defeating enemies, or inspire your allies by calling down the Banner of Justice portal.
well,
The Sphinx
Okay.
Mystic hideout decoration will identify items for you,
oh, cool.
displaying them as
Gross.
it does so. This ancient
Yeah.
creature has been presented with many items over the eons, so has some strong expressions to make on the
Ooh,
quality
Snake
of your
Man.
wares. Become a true warrior, worthy of delivering the
Be like,
justice
wow.
of the eternal gods, with the Apostle of Justice armor set.
It looks very
This armor
Assassin's
set also
Creed
comes
like.
with a matching back attachment
A
containing
lot
a set
more
of scales to measure your worth.
Fucking pizzazz.
With the Apostle of Justice finisher
Measure
effect
your
equipped,
worth.
the Goddess of Justice herself will appear to decide on a verdict for slaying unique enemies. Witness as she decides
Oh,
the
to
fate
hell
of
or
her slain
to heaven?
foes. Will they ascend to be amongst the gods, or be banished to the underworld?
Oh, that's so cool.
Nope, to hell with you, bitch.
The Griffin fledgling pet will
That's
be a
awesome.
courageous companion as you journey throughout
The
Rayquest.
little fucking... He's floating around.
Take your place
He
in the
stands so
skies on
proud.
the plateau
Whoa.
of the gods' hideout.
Oh,
This hideout comes with
Whoa.
many different sections for setting up your
Oh.
home or base of operations.
My god. It's the
In
aesthetic
order
I
to travel
love.
between them,
I know.
you
I
simply
know
just
no.
it is.
Oh, come on! You can
True eternal
find it!
god, you
Come
can
on.
float between the
Yeah, you're buying
mountains on the
this.
clouds themselves.
Ah, damn it, dude.
The Trial
gonna
and
buy that.
Executioner pack series also contains 6
Ooh.
exclusive
Damn it.
microtransactions.
I want to buy
The
this too.
Trathan Executioner finisher effect is a brutal display of Trathan might,
Oh,
crushing slain unique enemies.
Jesus.
as
that's
if
the
they
thing
were
I liked with the
bugs
big
beneath
fist,
your
but now
Holy
it's a giant fucking...
Fuck.
Okay, dude.
As a
Alright, you're
Trathan
taking my
Executioner,
money. I
You're
understand.
the perfect master for the ever-hungry carrion raptor pet. It has
Cool.
taken a particular liking to the taste of other pets, and at your command it will swoop down and eviscerate them, proceeding to satisfy its hunger by feeding on their corpse.
Yo. And
you're
all
pissed,
of
bro.
those goblins that
Major Trident
are gonna get fucking
But if their
annihilated.
hired hands became
This looks
notably
sick.
irritating,
This is so
they'd have to
sick.
call in the Trathan Executioners. You can now embrace their methods and become brutality incarnate with the Cruel Trathan Executioner armor set. The matching Cruel Trathan Executioner cloak will shroud you in scarlet as you
Yo.
crush the skulls of your enemies.
That's
and
actually
leave a
so
trail of blood
cool.
behind you as you build up a kill streak. Or
Oh, that's
use
sick.
the alternate variant to simply put a skeleton on your back. Be bathed in
Simply
blood
put a
as you
skeleton on your
mutilate
back.
monsters with the Cruel Trathan Executioner character effect. The swirling blood increases in volume as your spree of slaughter continues. Both this effect and the cloak use the same kill streak for tracking how much blood is shown. After a long and tiring day of executions, enjoy a relaxing game of dice with the Goblin Gambler's Hideout decoration. They'll definitely be playing fair, right?
The map device is called a pulverizer map device.
Pulverizer map device brings a horrid efficiency to
Oh.
punishing the damned of Trathus. Each map you open will execute the
That's so
next
cool.
victims.
Dog.
This map device in its true ruthlessness tracks the total number of monsters killed, your kills per second, and your largest kill
Hell
streak
yeah.
up to
Holy
the point
shit.
of the map being
The
completed.
kills per second and the
This is
largest
then
kill.
displayed on a
Damn.
leaderboard, so you can take a measure of you and your friends' violence at the end of each map. Additionally, any microtransactions from the supporter packs will be made available for use in Path of Exile 1.
I was
That's
wondering
enough
why it
about
looks so weird.
cosmetics. Let's get into the Q&A. But firstly, I want to give a huge thank you for your ongoing support.
Yeah.
We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D.
I'm about to lose a lot of money.
Afterwards, at 11
Although I
a.m.
think I
NZ
am
time,
probably just
or
going to,
4 p.m. Pacific, we'll
um,
post Path of Exile 2, the third edict's patch notes. With the release at the end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you need for the release. Keep an eye on the news. Thanks for joining us today and checking out our latest developments. We're looking forward to seeing your experiences with Act 4 and
Someone
its
said
new
no
bosses,
druid sadge.
fighting the Abyssal.
I
trying
mean,
new
it's sad,
builds,
but they've
and
reworked
crafting
every
new
other
weapons.
character,
yeah,
so like,
that-
get
that's the
over
thing.
it.
Q&A
I wanna
shortly,
try
so
the demon
please
form.
Get your questions ready.
I want to try using fucking all the different fucking mage type shit all mixing together.
Well, dude, the fact that they've adjusted
wanna
everything
fucking
the
be
way
a
that
monk
they
that can
did,
punch things.
like, the elemental mage, I just need to rework a little, and then that one's done. So I don't need to redo
Hey,
my
I was able to
elementalist,
claim
thankfully.
my-
So I'm
my
gonna
bow.
keep that chrono wizard, but I'm gonna make a new warrior, I think, to just roll through it again, get a feel for it again, all that crap.
Hello, and welcome back, Exiles. After a absolutely
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
reveal.
Ziggy, your mic.
No.
A suitably juicy.
Ziggy,
Oh,
the
no.
mic. The mic.
This kind of thing always happens. This guy
Settle in.
is-
I'm joined once again by Jonathan and Mark to discuss a lot. The patch that had to fix all the things, right?
That was
We're
the
gonna see
goal.
the technical
I mean, we didn't quite get to
difficulties thing
literally
pop up
everything,
soon.
but we certainly managed to do a lot of things.
Oh,
that we
no.
were keen to do.
Yeah, you guys were telling me that this was.
What's the chat
uniquely
saying?
nerve-wracking for you because there was
Audio, bad audio, not good audio.
Absolutely. And look, we've obviously got a lot to prove.
Oh, no.
You know, we need to make sure that we're like that. Well, put it this way: I wouldn't want people to feel like we.
The camera's just staying on him, and yeah, he's seeing
He's
the problem.
yeah, the constant looking over his.
They're like, fuck,
we're
fuck,
running
fuck.
into some issues.
One go to kind of do everything. As I said, didn't literally
Dude, the
everything,
audio
but
is
we've
so
got quite a
fucking
lot
like
of,
raw.
People will be a lot happier with this release than they were with the last one.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked.
Get
to
out of
see
the
this
well.
in this one, especially moved to this kind of like 4 and 2 cycle of, you know, you just
The issues of live streaming.
One extension, which also had a lot of pressure on it to be a big one as well.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, it's certainly hard. I mean, look, the really hard part is having to make an act at the same time. Like that's a really huge commitment. So I'm certainly gonna be happy once we finish the campaign.
Oh my god, the audio's made 7,000 people leave already.
But, yeah, it's a like
We were at 100,000 when I checked 5 seconds ago.
That's a lot.
We're not necessarily
Either that or
as
it.
well, 'cause you've got all of the,
Okay, there's no echo now.
So it's like a
They
bit of
fixed
a-
the echo, now they just need to
also don't
up
get
the
to take
volume.
stuff
Crank
and
the volume.
move it into the end game too, so the end game kind of sees a big expansion as well. So yeah, it's been.
Or do we just need to turn it up? I feel like we're gonna turn it up on our end and then it's just gonna blast our shit.
All of them are saying louder in chat.
Down every single problem.
Yeah.
And I'd say it's not a strategy we've done to this degree, this methodically before.
Right,
where
right.
we were like, okay, we have to solve everything on this whiteboard.
Literally
And-
made a tier list up there.
Yeah,
Like,
we
this is
had a
T1.
tier
Well, now it's
list.
gonna be more
T2,
fun to make new
Yeah,
characters because we don't have to
every
replay
problem,
anything. We're just gonna be
Yeah.
playing new
things in
content
there,
and then
like,
going into end game. That's so
performance and
that
things
by
aren't
itself
necessarily
is
Yeah.
gonna increase my
actual,
replayability a
content.
fuck.
100%.
Because I found it so many times I beat the game,
slog, right? Like,
I like the amount that's there, and I'd be like, I have to do cruel,
so,
fuck.
things like that. Were just
And I'd
like,
play
Yeah.
through
we-
cruel, and
we
I'd be
really
like,
try to
God damn
honest
it.
about, like, here are the real
Well, you
issues.
can kind of
The
just
reason it ends
turn
up
the
being
audio up
nerve-wracking is
now.
because we had a goal to fix.
I had
all
to
of
have
it,
mine at like
and we didn't get to
20%.
we aren't fixing literally everything. We're fixing
I think
almost
my
a
audio's
lot.
probably already maxed
You
out
know,
on
and I'm
check.
sure a few new problems introduced here and there.
Oh,
However,
Obviously, as we're watching Twitch chat, there was a huge amount of stuff about towers. We had a plan; it was on the list. It just unfortunately we couldn't get time to sort it. So that's it's probably the notable one, I would say.
Yeah, so we'll kind of discuss around your vision and stuff
Yeah.
for Endgame soon
Yeah.
as well, so that you can give people some reassurance about like where you want to go with that. But we should also mention just the other elephant in the room, or the lack of the elephant in the room, with the druid.
Yes.
No elephant form, but the druid kind of works.
Yeah.
So it seemed that druid has been uniquely challenging to get shipped. It's been something you've been working on for a while now, and just getting it right. What has been the challenge with druid and getting it out?
I'm glad they're at least talking about
okay,
it.
so
Yeah.
we started believing that we were going to have Druid in this version.
Yeah.
And that was the case for at least 2 months of the 4 months of development that we were that we had here. And obviously, like a bunch of work we've done on before that as well. But at some point, we realized, that we don't want to have the mistake that we effectively had with 020, where like we put a huge amount of effort into the class and then we didn't get time to fix like all of the concerns that people had outside of that, right? Because obviously the same resources go into making a new class as go into balancing the old ones and making all that stuff, right? So if we don't have the balance in like a good place, it kind of feels a bit bad to like be throwing in a class that's kind of effectively disrupting that. So then what that meant was at some point we're like, okay, since we don't believe we can get both the class and all these other balance changes we want to make in at the same time, it's actually better to cut the class and then have the
I agree.
the
I do
balance
too.
changes instead.
I would have
So
only
that's what
had
we
one
ended up doing.
character I was
Obviously, it
interested
really
in
hard
playing.
thing
Now I
to
have
cut, 'cause
like
obviously
3.
You're going to have another
Yep.
one without a class. Like, it feels really terrible.
Yeah,
But
get it.
we've got the philosophy now of like we have to make sure that we're in the release month that we say we're going to be in. So therefore something had to go, and unfortunately that was it. But it means we've obviously got a huge head start for when we actually do it next time. And I mean, look, there was so much stuff that was cut. Like, even as large as it is, like there's like ascendancies and all sorts of stuff that was gonna be there, and we'll get to it. But more important to just make sure that people are happy with the stuff. That's
I'm
in,
fine with the
and
ascendancies
make sure all
not
those
really
changes
changing.
are
It's
great.
kind of a
and,
minor
make sure-
portion of it
obviously
overall.
We've got answers for stuff, right?
I imagine for
The
druid,
amount of like
it's
overall
it's
balance
a big
changes,
part
but
of
then
it's just
also like
the shape-shifting,
having
getting
different
everything
uniques and having
from
different
it.
stuff.
no,
Like
I mean, it's a huge
it all
deal.
just
I
seems
mean,
so
it's-
much.
it's-
Like I
it's
want to
hard.
replay all the characters I've
like,
already
there's so
made
much
to try out
animation
the
stuff
new
that has to
changes.
go into making each form feel right. So yeah, like that. But we'll get there. Like, I don't think we're that far away from it now. So it's just a question of.
It would be
prioritization.
really nice though if they were like, hey,
It's probably the
we
hardest
aren't
class.
dropping a
other than-
whole
Might be.
new like update,
I think it will
but
be.
we got
Yeah,
the
yeah.
druid
You're getting
done,
a
so
bit
we're
more
gonna toss
ambitious
that
as you
in.
go with each
That is
class.
That'd
true.
be nice.
That is
Yeah, yeah.
true. Every class is a step
Not
up from the
hoping.
last in terms of that. Yeah.
Yes. So I guess on that note, do you have a vision for who's next after druid, or is it kind of a race between them to see who ends up feeling most
well, I've
finished?
always said that it would be criminal to go into full release without having swords. So you know that's
Yes.
that's
It's
kind of a
little
pretty
bit
glaring.
It's a little bit criminal to get this far without.
Yeah,
having
to be
swords.
honest, it is. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'd say
that's
that
true.
would be-
As the
Yeah,
fucking
yeah, so-
chungus, I only have hammers.
So that would be an obvious candidate. Is making sure that we've got
So
that.
that
going on.
people
Yeah.
can infer from that some sort of duelist or something, most likely being
Yeah.
the sword one. Yeah, and as you said, the ascendancies are just kind of the same boat as
Mm-hmm.
you weren't satisfied with where they were at to be able to get those in. So that's the things you missed, but that's like the list of the things you missed. That and
Right.
and doing something with towers.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
now we can talk about kind of what you have done. We'll jump into endgame first, since I know the towers and stuff have been a hot topic for people. So we'll talk about the endgame. This wasn't ostensibly supposed to be an endgame update, from what you were telling me, but it still seems like a pretty big endgame update in the end.
Yeah, I mean, well, part of that is because we obviously
they
get all the
turned it up.
content that we produced for the campaign. We get to make all the endgame versions of that.
Yeah.
That obviously adds quite a lot. But we did want to make sure that we weren't just being like, okay, so we're adding a bunch of bosses. Like, we wanted to make sure that the more epic ones that we added to the campaign have some new mechanic for them on the Atlas as well. So that's where we had those various mechanics with, like the sandstorm and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, those kind of like Atlas events. And it really does contribute to the feeling of exploration to have more of that stuff. And then, of course, once you got that, you start getting into, okay, well, what rewards is it going to drop? Then we started to think we need a new category of rewards that these things can have. And that's, we started to think about the lineage supports and that kind of stuff. So it just ended up kind of adding up to quite a bit in the end. But yeah, it isn't like kind of like the big end game change that we wanted to do. Like, we had a design for that, but we just kind of haven't quite got to it. So but it still ends up being quite a lot. And one of the big things that it also, I think, will help bridge is the kind of mid-end game part. Like that's still a problem that we want to improve. But yeah, like it adds quite a lot there, because you're seeing that stuff on the Atlas a bit earlier.
What's the problem there as you identify it?
I mean, you've got this issue where effectively, and we are doing some stuff to address this, but effectively you've got like the pinnacles at the end, and you've got like, obviously when you start, you've got a bunch of content, but it doesn't feel like there's those kind of mid-end game goals that you can easily achieve. That's kind of the issue that we're
And
trying to
just a
solve.
lack of direction, right?
Right.
I think there's not enough like really guiding you. Like, the narrative kind of falls apart there, right? Because it's just like open world, and you want a bit more of telling you where to go, what to do, have those goals where you're like, I want to do this next and this next, as opposed to like, I could do this.
That's
or
like
this.
the end game
It's nice
felt
to have
like I was
those,
so
but it's nice to
lost
also
for a
have
little bit.
the things
just
kind
kind
of
of
directing you as to
wandering.
like,
Right.
this is
I
exactly
had to
what
look
I
up
wanna
like
do,
how to access
the
like
boss I want to get
after
to. So
taking out
there's
all the
kind of just a
corruption,
big
how to
gap
do it.
there.
It's
We
like,
want to
you
add
have
a
to have
whole
a
bunch of
certain
stuff in
tier,
the
and,
middle
like,
there. We
no
have a
part of
huge
the game
plan,
tells
but
you
again,
that.
it's
I
like,
don't know what to do here.
yeah, we need to you got this working on a campaign, you've got working on the end game, and you got all these like, how do you juggle all of these things? It is brutally difficult, and you end up having to think. So I would expect next expansion to be way more end game centric in terms of fixing all of this, because it was on the whiteboard.
But we did do some stuff with what we had. So like that splinter change, I think, is going to be quite a big one.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look like much from what we showed, but what it does mean is that you've got pinnacle fights earlier in your in the experience, and of course you've got the thing where we're making it make more sense with regard to
Yeah, 'cause
the
we never fought any of the pinnacle
difficulty.
No, we
access
never
to
got
difficulties,
close.
by having so that
level
it's
up
cheaper to
enough.
get to the lower tier one. So that helps
That's
quite a
the thing,
lot,
'cause,
and
like, we
I think that'll
got
improve
caught
things quite a
in
lot
the
even just from that.
80s
So
consistently.
yeah, like
Yeah.
So I'm
Like
hoping
80s
that
nowadays.
now
Yeah,
we'll
and of
at
course
least
there's a league
hit, like
there too.
90
The
or
wisps were wisps.
And then
Yeah.
the difficulty is
wasn't
like
really a
okay,
league.
90
It's
to
kinda just
95
like,
is a
was, you know,
motherfucker.
Not a
not
full-fledged
what we've
league
done
mechanic.
before. And a
95
lot
to
of people
100
here
is
who
good
may
luck.
not really even know what a league is. I mean, we kind of
95
had
to
it on the
100
hunt,
is
but
like
yeah, I mean, having abyss
whole
in every
game
single
in
area.
times one.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah,
the
the amount of
whole
XP
icon you can
required
find on
is
the map.
all
You can't add
95
them
levels.
because they are in every area. The abyss. So, and you have
I'm
different,
looking
like,
forward to the
waystone
Abyss as well,
crafting
'cause
and stuff
that'll
like that. So there's a lot of
give
end
a
game
lot
just added
more
by the league's
loot
existence as well.
modifications.
Plus a lot more combination of the
I'm actually,
mechanic
like,
with other
even though you
mechanics as
still
well,
use
which
the
is something that
website,
I'm always keen for with leagues. Is
I'm
like have a bit more,
I'm happy it just
bit more
instantly
interaction.
teleports you
Yeah,
to
you
their
were
hideout,
telling
and
me
you
that
can
you
just like
had
look at their
specifically
wares.
made it so
Yeah.
that Abyss would
Because the hardest part was you go on the website, and if you back there, you have to
basically
redo all your
like if a rogue
filters and
exile's
everything
standing
again.
there,
Yeah.
So if
you
you
get
find
a
the thing you know you
special
want,
buff
and you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
click on it, and you're
based on the
instantly
rogue
there in the
exile,
game,
so
like that's
That's
fantastic.
rather interesting.
Yeah, I'll have
extra
to log
combination stuff
into
there.
the fucking
It is
stuff
interesting
through
because
the
this is a league
PlayStation,
mechanic
man.
that's in every zone.
That's the part that I've
it's
been
part of
avoiding.
a league mechanic. But
Yeah, and then like
does
after
this
that,
also
it just
have
gives you
like
a
Atlas
captcha
tree
type thing.
integration
Yeah.
in the way that it would later on as it becomes like a core element?
No, not the way that's kind of handled is through some
Yeah,
of
like
the
imagine
waystone crafting.
before it'd be in the PlayStation thing, using like the
depending
PlayStation
when the
browser,
league
that kinda
ends, you
doesn't
know,
work.
we obviously do the whole.
You'd be trying to
again,
find
more
someone,
for
you'd be
people who
clicking on
maybe don't
every
know what a
single
league is
person
and
of
how
the
we
thing
handle
you
this stuff in
want,
PoE
then
1.
backing out to the game and hoping that one
over-explain
of
it a
them
little bit,
responds
but
to you,
yeah,
and if
generally
not,
we
you have to
review
rego
the
and
state
redo
of
your
it at the
filters,
end. We see
refine
what
the items,
changes
and
we
then
want to
find
make.
more people that might not
Sometimes
be
we add it
offline.
to
It
the
was
core
ass.
game
And then you'd
immediately,
have to
sometimes later.
get messaged by them,
And then we
teleport
add
to
it to
them, make
the
sure you
tree
have the
and
right
decide how we
currency,
want to
you don't
invest into the
remember,
different things. But
and then it's on the
we
website,
try
it's
and
not
have the
on the
meta
game, and you go to
progression,
their
so to
their
speak,
thing,
of
so
the
they're
league
like waiting
within
for you
the
to trade,
leagues,
but then you're like,
itself and
how
not
much did you
connected
want
to the
again?
core
Ah, shit.
tree, 'cause, you know,
It was
you
like
could have a
terrible,
separate
and then they just like
tree.
leave,
It is
and
a
you're like,
thing you
fuck.
could do.
Yeah.
But in this case, it comes in the form of the
Disjointed
waystone
I did an
sounding.
experiment
Yeah.
with that recently in Path of Exile 1, doing that in a league, and you didn't exactly
bit
like the
different
result
because
so
it's not a
much.
separate tree, and
Right.
that was during Necropolis, yes, and it felt
Yeah.
like because it's in every area, you have to take it.
Yes, exactly.
So that didn't work. We're not going to repeat that mistake. It could be a separate tree, but we just did it through the waystone crafting stuff
I
instead.
love too how they
and
they
you can
literally said like
invest in the
nothing
abyss
about
and
the
do
new
set
act.
this
They're just
that
like,
way.
here's like the
we'll see
preliminary
how we
like
follow
After
Yeah.
Effect
as
act,
we,
but like
go
the other
into
ones like
the
just
We're
play
also
it.
like,
But
hey,
that'll be
here's
the-
how you
Alright.
do this
Well,
new
one of
modifier.
the
By the
kinda,
way,
like,
you can
I guess,
jump
endgame
in. You're gonna have to
issues
figure
that
that out for
I've
yourself.
identified in the past
Yeah.
It's like,
is
oh,
how the
you don't
Atlas
say.
trees worked and progressed and what they
like just
afforded,
showing
and
us
it's
like,
not very
hey, you got some new
top-heavy.
endgame
Like, you
shit.
had to
Also, this
beat the
one like
boss
when
to
you
get
punch
points
them,
to
it
just
like
go
Well,
and
that's what I'm
stuff
talking
like
about
okay,
with the lack
cool.
of
I know what
mid-game
to
stuff,
expect
right?
now.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's changed now though. Like the
Yeah.
league mechanics don't scale difficulty of bosses at all. They're just about what the content is in maps.
Yeah,
right?
and you get the points way earlier. So, in fact, you even
Some of them, yeah. We made some changes to that actually as well since last night, and thus it wasn't in the
Ongoing,
live stream
right
accurately.
now.
It was talking about how you have to complete specific objectives like killing the delirium boss and whatnot to get your points. It's actually just now you follow the quest line, and there's a point in where you get the tablet, which is after you find the league and you kill the, just do a delirium, you successfully go back and get a tablet. You're also going to get the first 2 points there. Now I wanted to change it so that you can get like, if we have 8 points, you get 4 points before the pinnacles and 4 points from the pinnacles. Right now it's 2 and 6. We're still looking at this just because we made a change last night. There's a good chance we might end up, adapting this a little bit more. So it's even the first 2 points
'cause
come
they still
even
have
sooner
until the
and even more
29th.
obviously. Like you don't have to RNG into finding a boss in order to get those first 2 points now, which was mentioned there. No longer going to be the case.
But
with the release,
we just want to really make sure we're smoothing that progression through, getting that stuff earlier.
Yeah.
Like there's no other
So
company
the other
that
thing
is so
like was
transparent
you've
about
got this
this
like
stuff
kind of world
ever.
map.
Oh
It seems
yeah,
to be
I know. That's
exploration
why I'm
focused.
still
The
wanting to
But it's
watch
nice.
this
you
because
did
like
in the hunt, actually,
I'm
I
getting
thought
a
were pretty
genuine
big
Like,
picture
steps
of
in that
what
regard,
this
the
game
Yeah,
whole
is
exploration
it's not like
development
EA
as well,
like,
with the new
hello,
unique
you
maps.
want
And
to buy our game,
even
but it's just
towers, I
like
feel like when you're
inauthentic
using them as an
nonsense.
Yeah.
exploration
It's like
feature
this
work
shit.
quite
They're just like,
well.
yeah, we kind of
They
fucked up, and like
leapfrog
here's
into
some
your
stuff we're gonna
next-
change.
so
It.
that
We
makes
might
you
change it
map
tomorrow.
over
We
the
who
yeah,
knows?
and this
That's
is
like
literally like,
a
yeah,
cool
we
way
made
to
this
pull
change
you
last
in.
night, so
That
like grain of
mid-game
salt what
issue
I'm
we're
saying
talking
here,
about.
but
Is that kind of the goal? Is to make this like really exploration focused?
It's certainly something that I really love, and the more things you add to the Atlas, the more it feels like you're finding things. But yeah,
Yeah.
so we definitely appreciate the concern with towers being that you've got this tension between having to turtle in one location versus explore.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we need to look into addressing. But I don't want to kind of like talk explicitly about exactly what we're going to do here, just because there's like obviously a lot in flux there still. But yeah, it's something that we understand the problem, I would say. Like I would understand that there's an issue, and so yeah, we will be addressing that a bit later.
Yes, the brand name of towers seems somewhat marred currently. Like it seems like almost no matter what you do with them, there's going to be some sort of maybe just delete towers because we have the bad association with it.
That is a concern, but I suspect that we'll still want to keep them at least for just vision. Like even if we remove the mechanic and do other stuff, like we'll just keep them there. So I still think it's fun to just find a tower just to get a circle of vision around it. So I don't think that's the part that people are unhappy about with them. So therefore it'd be fine to keep that and move like other power sources and other things that you can do somewhere else.
And I even like the empowering
the
maps,
necessity,
because that is an element of control, which is another thing people.
Well,
have issue
I
with
mean,
this
I
right
still
now.
want something that does that. I just think that it needs to work differently than how it works.
Yeah,
So,
I guess the issue seems to come down to, from what I see, and maybe chat might have other things that they mention about their issues with towers, but the issue, as I see it, is about that feeling that you still need to be stacking tower mechanics on top of other stuff, and if you're not kind of bringing all those things together, then it feels like you're wasting time.
My fundamental issue with them is the way that you know that something sucks before you even run it, and that's always bad.
Yeah.
Like effectively, it's like, okay, like if you're running maps that don't have a tower around them, you're like, okay, well I know this is bad, or and so I feel bad because like I just have to get to the next tower, and then like when you've done one tower, but you know that two tower overlapping is a thing, then you're like, okay, well I feel bad running a one tower overlap thing when I know that two tower tower stuff is a thing as well. So there's just this problem of like that it sucks beforehand, and I think that's never a good thing. Like it's actually the opposite of the action RPG philosophy of like the reason you have random drops is because like any monster could be the one that drops the next thing.
Exactly.
And if you don't have that, then it's like you feel bad for playing the content because it's not the best already. So you need that like random element more. So there needs to be some adjustment to make that better.
Yeah. Do you think that's like bringing up what the base map experience can be in terms of its upper potential, like adding more interesting confluence of variants?
I mean, look, I always like more interesting combinations of stuff to happen, but I don't necessarily think that the core problem is like lack of ability to juice things. Like I think the core problem is to do with the fact that like you don't when it already sucks, as I said. Like it's just kind of like that thing there. So we need to sort of like there will need to be some
really
approach to
focusing
solving
on these fucking
like make it more
towers.
controllable, like it more deterministic.
I really don't give a fuck about
just
any
something
of
along those lines so that you can.
I've used the towers before. Literally just like AOE equals
because of a thing
buff.
I can already see that sucks. This experience is going to be worse than what I'm hoping for.
So, somewhat related to this, another thing I see brought up all the time is being able to kind of choose what map you're doing and just being able to exert more elements of control. I saw a post in chat just there that was like the idea of being able to kind of erect a tower where you want it, rather. Like, is this element of like being able to choose your maps a little bit more, or have a bit more influence on what's happening?
So I think having control over what content is there is good, but I don't know that I want to lose the fact that you still have the Atlas fundamentally where you like the actual map areas you get are random, and part of the reason for that is that it gives us a lot of opportunities to do interesting things with
people could just like min-max the fuck out of each
exactly, which is
and
why
drop
they're
and other
complaining
stuff like
about
that. Like there's a lot of that sort of stuff that's like quite nice. Like you can actually have the map be way more powerful if like it's kind of you don't know exactly when you'll encounter it. So that kind of stuff is quite nice, and we want to do a lot more as well on the Atlas, like just more stuff to find. Like when we get to 040, I really want it to be that like you really feel like there's just cool stuff in every map that you might be finding that's like that's way more interesting. And as I said, that stuff, the problem is if you have full control over literally being able to run the same map every single time, like the same like base area, it means that you don't have the ability to say, okay, well this map can randomly have this thing that's just like really awesome that always drops a unique or something like that, because then you're just going to run that map over and over and over. So I still like some ability to have to find the good stuff in the Atlas.
But
we just need more
that's
control.
supposed to be the whole point.
It's
randomly generated and it's end game content. You don't want
the experience of like if I didn't get this exact overlap, then I have
fucking
this bad
hardlining shit.
And that's where
the Philly Steak Bob always drops this really good shotgun. You're just gonna sit there and fight Philly Steak Bob for like 30 hours.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally the Borderlands technique.
Yeah.
Hey, this boss drops this unique. Fight him 30 times.
It already felt like a big improvement with that last one, and we're getting the new maps and the new mechanics and
that's
things.
the other thing too, like hundreds of new enemies
as well.
Like
so
new areas, all that shit.
We did what we could, 100%. And 040 expect a lot more improvements there. But again, we focus more on everything else. There's an insane amount of content there. It's we wish Towers was in that list, but it
the
will
fucking
be. Don't worry.
the
These things are
demon
coming. We're aware of the
form
problems.
was
We are
so
aware,
good,
like,
except for the
100%,
fact that you
it was
didn't have your
expected when
weapons
we got
because
to
they
that
just would go
section to
away,
see
so
a
you just
bunch
like
of-
lose your minions with a scepter
And,
or
I
like
think
whatever
a
the
lot of
fuck
people are gonna
else.
be getting
Now that you can
a
do
chance to
both,
experience some
it
stuff
actually
they didn't
just
experience
stays
as
there.
came
Like you
later
can
in
stack
last league
so
and
much more
they
damage.
had tapped out before then. So there's a good bit of extra stuff to explore.
Like the
there
longer
in
you're
this
alive, the more
one.
it leeches your
We'll
life
loop
and
back around
shit. So
to
if you
endgame
do a
people
bunch
have
of
more
like
questions that they post
other
that we
shit
pull from the chat.
like, you can just
But
be
we'll move
so
on to
strong.
the Act 4 and the interludes, because that's
Wow,
a
finally
pretty big
moving
thing.
on to Act
Obviously,
4.
Getting rid of Crawl
After we've
was a priority.
wasted
We wanted to do that as soon
27
as
minutes
possible.
on
There's
towers.
been this problem that you were laboring over for many months about how to do that, how to add Act 4 without having to add the rest of the acts all at once or do some weird thing. Well, you've come up with making more acts to solve the problem instead of
So there was certainly some skepticism when I first
Which
proposed
is crazy
this.
too, right? They had 3 new acts that they're going to
possibly
delete,
do that?
except for the fact they're going to keep the maps and the bosses.
Basically,
endgame.
the main thing
Like,
there
that's
was
insane.
that okay, so the interludes are not exactly the same as an act in terms of like
Six
each one of them
areas
is like
is
a straight
tiny.
line, like you're going from here to here. There's no like different. There's no complexity around the plot or anything. It's just like like a single goal of like, someone's telling you to do this, go deal with it.
Thank God.
There's bosses along the way.
Yep.
There's new areas along the way. But,
it's literally
all of that stuff
farming
we can
you.
use in in-game,
It's
as
directed
well.
farming.
So that means we're not kind of wasting any of the arts. The only thing we're really wasting is like a kind of like a little bit of like storyline structure around it. But as I said, it's not nearly the same level of like narrative structure as what you get in like a full act. And that's something that. And ultimately, what we realize is to get from the end of Act 4 to the end game level, all you need is like 20 areas roughly to kind of to bridge that gap. And so that means that I was like, you know what, like with like 20 areas, I reckon we can do it if we're like, we're using a few mechanics from maps, we're taking some, we're doing a lot of art reuse, that kind of stuff. Like we can find a way to make something pretty quick, and it won't necessarily hold up for like years and years, but it will certainly be good enough for just like for a relatively short period of time. And by the time you get to that point anyway, like you're usually pretty fast as a character. You're like rushing through, just to get to end game. So I think that that'll end up being like pretty damn good for the time being. Plus, new bosses, new stuff to experience. Like, in my opinion, it was a no-brainer to do it compared to some weird thing like having to repeat Act 1 and 2 again or something weird like that. Like that just wouldn't have been good. And we really wanted to get rid of Crawl. I mean, like we never wanted Crawl to exist, right? It existed as a compromise. So being able to get rid of it is obviously something we were very very keen to do.
There was something. You get to the Act 1 Crawl and you're like, I've know all this content. You're ultra powerful, and that's a little bit feel good. And then you're like, doing all this again. It's just like a little bit like,
at a certain point, you really want Geonor to shut the fuck up and fight.
Whereas when you're playing through, the new acts, like
the sprinting's gonna be so nice.
Well, with Act 4 and the interlude, it feels just a lot more natural and still fun, and you're discovering stuff, and it's not that just like, I just did this, like for, at least for fast players as well, they're going to be like, oh my god, I just did this like a few hours ago. It's like just too short of a time.
I don't understand those people. They're built
Which
wrong.
I think is really cool. Which
they're
is
not
very
built
different.
right to figure that shit out.
You don't really appreciate until you play. Is you get to Act 4 and you're like, okay, where do I go? Well, I have many places I can pick. I mean, Jonathan was talking about how their kind of interludes are kind of straight lines, but there's 3 of them.
But there's 3 of them. You can do them in any order.
There's a choice immediately there, right?
You can do those in any order.
You can do them in any order.
You can do them in any order when you complete one or partially complete one. It levels up the other
run
2.
through all of them. We figure out which ones we like and which ones we don't, and then we figure out the order of running them. That's fucking sick.
To see the speedrunning strategies, because like there's different bonuses available.
Like the spirit draft comes from 1. Where another might be more passive point heavy, and another might be more permanent bonus heavy, and another, like, there's going to be all kinds of crazy stuff going on there. So you go in Act 4.
So they're literally like, here, grind and
to,
collect loot,
and then you go
so that you're ready to fight the end game stuff.
Best. And maybe the answer is do a couple areas of this part and then swap to another and do that one, and then who knows? Which is fine, because again, as you progress through them and defeat the bosses, the other ones will level up and keep up with the level. So you can do half of each, and then do the half of each again. You can do an area of each, and then
that's fucking ace.
That's wild. I didn't realize the interludes were sandboxy like that, because I was I was planning on asking about how the fact that Act 4 is like a sandbox for like the great portion of it there. And that's going to be super interesting from like racing and speedrunning perspective as to what people take. But also that does seem like it might help with the campaign slog, the repetitiveness of it, if you can kind of do things in a different order each time. Is there some good reasons?
But also, I'm just excited to see where the story goes.
You mentioned like differences in rewards, differences in challenges too, I imagine, for different builds.
Yeah, for sure. So, like the reward thing is like probably the main reason you'd change the order, depending on what's going to work best for your character right now. So each one has got stuff that like we're taking all the different fixed bonuses. I think that actually the fixed bonuses are different a little bit now, aren't they, than the way that they were when they were in Crawl? Did you change what stats they were? I thought you did.
The passive point number is the same. The spirit is the same, but the other bonuses, we've kept like, we'll still have the resistances that you got before. But some of the other bonuses from, like, for example, Crawls, the snake in Act 3, I can't remember the name of these areas. We have internal names, the old snake chamber. The reward from that will be slightly different, because not all 3 of those options are available, and they're available in different ways. Some of it might be, some of it might not be, and some of it will be in Act 4, some of it might be in the interlude, So it's kind of mix and match all over the place, but There's some pretty cool
Well, that's
stuff
gonna
in the
be
interludes
fucking great for the
you know,
old
you've
fucking
obviously got your permanent
ADHD
bonuses,
brain.
you've got your skill
Oh, yeah.
points.
Just go.
You've got this,
I
like,
think
which
I'm done with
bosses
this
do I
area
wanna
for
do
right
first
now.
or
I'll go do
last?
this other one.
Yeah.
That's all
You're like,
nice, but
fuck
you have
these
a lot of
enemies.
Yeah,
things
fuck
that
this.
are,
Dude. Instead of rage
you know,
quitting,
like
you just
the
rage
first
quit
area
one
of
interlude and go to one of the other
them.
two.
I'm not gonna be
And
as
then you
spoiler
sprint
light
a
as
lot.
possible.
Yeah.
Has
And you just
a
go, "Fucking
wandering
goddamn."
vendor that sells, you know, guaranteed rare.
By the
caster
way,
gear,
we're gonna
and
have to
you
do a
can go
speed
and be like,
comparison
I'm
of me
gonna go there,
spamming
check
the
that
shield dash
if I'm a
and
caster,
you
and then I'll go
sprinting.
to the other two acts because that might have like a straight up weapon upgrade. And then there's another act that sells a whole bunch of greater runes, and so you might be like, I need some runes. I'm gonna go there, find that vendor, get some runes, and then
Sick.
go to
You're like,
another.
oh, I'm playing a melee
and
build,
then
so I'm
one
gonna
of
do
Hell
them
this
yeah.
has,
first, and then I'm gonna be
you
mage
have
build
to
to take
find this
this
for
path.
So
yourself. One
they've
of them
made
has
a
nameless
way-
seer in it, and
They've
so
they've
go
figured
through
out
it
a
and
way
find
to
it,
make
find it.
grinding
I'm not gonna
entertaining.
tell you which.
Yeah.
So do you know in advance some of these rewards so that you can make this decision? Like maybe not those kind of secret ones,
I
but
think it doesn't. Does it say it on the? Does it show it to you on the world map?
You generally see the icons on the world map up to the point your character
Okay,
and
now
the
I'm just thinking
NPCs
how much I'm
could
gonna have to
reasonably
spend
know
if I want
about.
both those packs.
So it depends on the act a little bit. In some cases, it's
Both of them
like,
are so
no
good.
humans have
Yeah,
been
I'm
there,
probably
so you
just gonna
can't
end
know
up
until
getting the
you've
first
opened it,
one
and then it
because
will-
it's
or until
I
you
probably
be
am
told
going
about
to
it or
have
know
to
about
spend
it or
the
advance the quest,
900
and now you see
currency,
all the
which
icons. So
is what, like,
some
too
yes,
much money?
some not, and
like $80 or something.
discovery
But
process,
like,
yeah.
look, it's gonna players are gonna share information pretty damn quickly. But yeah, it's actually quite fun having all this different choice and different axes, and we haven't had this level of like, sure, you've got Path of Exile 1, Act 2 is go left or go right, and you've got a little bit of that in like Act 8, but you don't get this much like parallel things going on like this in a kind of interesting way. So it'll be, I suspect it'll actually last a little bit longer than we anticipate, given how, you know, we had to put this kind of 3-part thing together so quickly.
Last a bit longer in terms of like players finding it fresh and interesting.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Okay, good.
The all 3 interludes kind of appear on one world map, so you kind of got 3 parallel tracks you can see on one map.
cool.
So yeah.
That makes it really easy. Holy shit.
Decision paralysis is going to set in. Where do I go?
It's only
I think a lot of people will just pick one just because it's the first one.
Yeah,
Probably,
left to right.
I bet that'll be the most common
You'll
choice.
see stats on that, I'm sure.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, 60% pick rate for the first option.
Yeah, probably.
left to right's most likely. Yeah.
Left to right makes sense.
The order of the islands in Act 4 a little bit less predictable.
Yeah.
You know, one of
Yeah,
those
that's
islands
gonna be
like,
sick. So 3 acts we're used
there's
to. Super ass open world,
four
big
permanent
choice,
bonuses kind of going on
endgame.
in one area.
That's
kind of
awesome,
thing.
man.
It's like a, you know,
That's good content the whole way through.
I'm not going to tell you which ones, but
Okay, I'll have to figure that one out.
Oh, I forgot Act 4.
someone will do it, figure it out.
Make the progression guides.
Yeah, well,
but
it's
I
like-
like the idea that it could be different for
It's like
different
Act
builds, too.
4,
That
5,
would
and
be
6,
very
but they
cool
have
if
like
that
their
ends up
own
being
like
Yeah.
things that will
fake
keep
main
things
Well,
fresh
and
long
based
term.
off the
There's a
sizing,
good
it almost
reason
seems
to
like
do it
it's
differently,
kind
doesn't
of
just get
the
kind of
equivalent of an
immediately
act and a
solved.
half.
So Act 4 was planned to have
I'm curious to
a
see how long
new
it'll
wave
take.
ascending, but that wasn't mentioned here, so
Yeah,
that one's
yeah.
not quite ready yet.
Didn't quite get time for it. It'll be coming a bit later. But
Damn it.
you can still there's still a
Shit.
quest to go to the place where that is happening.
Okay.
But and we added like a kind of another reward there. You know, just for the time being.
Yeah.
But yeah, later on there'll be that. The amount of work required to make that trial just unfortunately wasn't quite compatible with making all of the other stuff we made. Probably if we hadn't made the interlude, we would have been able to do it. But I think the interlude was more important just to get rid of Cruel. So yeah, we ended up making that decision.
Yeah.
But we'll get to it.
Thank goodness.
Fair.
I'm like so stoked Cruel's gone.
It's if it's what most of us imagine it's going to be, I can imagine where a lot of that work comes in. So hopefully you guys, is it something that you'd like to get ready for next league then, it sounds like?
Well, I don't want to promise anything because at this
Yeah,
point
fair
we're
enough.
in the mode of like we'll cut stuff if we need to make the release happen. So I wouldn't want to promise anything, but you know, that would be nice. We'll just have to see.
I guess the other question then is, do you think it'll be like different enough and appealing to people who don't necessarily want to ascend the other ways?
Well, it's certainly different than the other ones by a very significant
different.
margin. So yeah, like I think that'll be that'll be interesting.
And
It should be
what's
like a
the vision for
gladiatorial
how
arena where you
Ascend
just fight like
works
the
long
boss
term then?
guys.
So is it the
Oh
idea that
God,
you
a
ascend
boss
once
rush?
The
in Act
PvP,
2,
like you know, like the
once, and then
PvP people
again
who
in
show up
Act 3,
like
and
fuck
then
you and
again
they
in
try to like
Act
kill you
I
or
mean,
something.
you
It's just
will
like a
be
shit
able
ton
to
of
do it
those
that way,
in a
but
row.
if you
God.
want to do other. I mean, yeah, that's a way to do it. But if you want to, just if you like a certain trial better, doing it that way is also fine too.
It's just interesting because there's like not as much of a gap as there usually is between those first 6 months that way. Like they're quite rapid fire. So and then it would be a big gap until the end game, and you do your choice of fourth one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we see that as fine. Like you kind of want to get your build locked in to some degree by the time you get to that sort of level.
I kind of like it. It's just different to how it's been done in the past before, right? Where we had, where it was like right at end game, you did that third one. So that's interesting stuff. So a big part of this obviously is then continuing the campaign slog kind of discussion was just the speed of the campaign, how that tied in with difficulty, zone sizes, and things like that. You guys did a whole bunch of big changes a couple weeks into the last league where you reduced zone sizes.
So we did a bit of that. That's one of those things that's a bit hard to see exactly until you've played it a couple of times. So I like, for example, right now, like the first time you play through Act 4, I doubt you'll be worried about zone size. Second time, then it might then start to realize like what places are too big and what places aren't. So there'll probably be a little bit of adjustment to that even as we do the first couple of patches in 030 as well. Just because, like as I said, it's actually a bit hard to appreciate until you've kind of played it a few times. But the sprint helps a lot. Like sprint is a big deal as far as like changing how the game feels in this regard. So if you're fast and you know how to use it well and that kind of stuff, you can motor quite a lot more than you were. It'll be interesting to sort of see how how many people are using that all the time versus how many people are kind of just using it all the time. You have, well, yeah, but the thing is, you're an experienced PoE player, right? Like you're gonna be
but like there's a fun risk reward
the
to using it
and the shield charge are relatively the same speed. It would be hilarious if I was creating the gap for both of us as you sprint through.
But it also is a very powerful like
just
combat
to keep
tool.
us fucking moving.
You can use it like a boss is doing something, you can get further away than you could before.
For boss stuff, you can, although it is dangerous, right? Like,
I mean, if you screw it up, then you
yeah. But I think the thing that I find kind of interesting about it as well is that like you can skip monsters now more easily, and that means that if you are over,
but it's going to be nice because like now that we have more time to revive each other throughout more acts,
motor through a couple of areas a bit more, like sort of then catch up to the point where you sort of feel about right as far as the difficulty, and then keep going from there, like more specifically. So you've got that kind of tool at your disposal. Not something I'd expect like new players to do, or like players who kind of don't want to engage with that stuff. But if you're talking about like like the person who's playing through the campaign the fifth time, certainly that's an option that you've got that can kind of speed you through a little bit faster. So that's something as well that it kind of does, just because you are faster than basically everything. So you can skip past.
There were a bit of like good players, like knowledge players knew how to move a lot quicker. There's a bunch of skills, you get animation cancelling, you got shield charge.
It's true. It's true. The speedrunners already have a way, but like no one really wants. Like, obviously, you don't want to be doing that all the time, right? Like unless you're like really dedicated to speedrunning. So.
Niche, unintuitive, and whatnot. So like there's a simpler way to now close the gap between the players who knew all of that and the ones who didn't, and which is great. And maybe a lot of those players are still using all of those tools even on top of this, and that's fine.
I actually wonder if like the sprinting is faster than like the shield.
I think it works for a game like this too, because if you sprint by everything, like I'm making so much progress, and then you get to an area where
exactly
like,
done a race.
I haven't fucking killed everything along the way. Now I'm getting shit
relatively close though.
Yeah, well, the difference there.
I know there's some passives on the deck side of the tree for like slightly increasing your speed while sprinting, and a few other different things while sprinting, like increasing your evasion while sprinting, and so there's some of that going on as well. That maybe when you speak into all that, you have a more of an advantage over those other skills. We'll see.
Actually buffed dodge roll a bit for the sprint too. Like you can turn a bit better. For longer during the dodge roll.
You can. So that one was, man, I'll tell you what. So this is kind of inside baseball stuff, but sprint was like way harder to implement than you might expect. Like it seems like, you just add a speed buff, but like getting it to be smooth and like feel right, and like all of the stuff around like the turning at the end and like what stuff, that was really, really hard to do. Like it was like there was like a programmer for a very long time just working on sprint issues. Like holy crap. So yeah, like
that's wild. One dude's just like, I can't get the fucking sprint to go.
You do it so often, it needs to be ironed out.
I'm looking forward to stacking move speed and dodge roll distance in Sanctums and using sprint. I use sprint in the Sanctum and I was testing earlier, and it's so fun doing some of the things with sprint. It's like we're like mega long dodge rolls into sprinting is gonna so fast.
I mean we've in general just improved mobility. We've improved,
because that's the thing. I might want to at some point make a punch monk that's just super fast.
There's more to it. There's you know,
well, especially with
obviously
that thing
dodge
where
rolling
it's like
is improved.
if you dodge through the attack, your guy dies, but then you're still
mercenary,
good and you like max
like,
your life. Like
slow
that's
while
like you're
reloading,
controlling
but
time
also
as well as
like,
speed.
Jonathan and I both just randomly did one day, just logged in on live. We played mercenary, and we were both just like,
what happened?
What did we do? What has gone on here?
What I
this
believe
feels terrible.
It was the 0 to 0 change that related to like contact points or something.
See, again, they
like
do
that,
a
but
change and they play it and they go,
wasn't
how
actually
did we
feeling
make
how it
this so
felt
bad?
before
Hold
we
on.
released.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh crap, we need to fix this. Something went wrong drastically there. And
it shows a lack of ego,
proved
you
it.
know.
Yeah,
it just shows
we
that
also
they're
made a
just
change
like,
where you're a little bit
yeah,
faster coming out.
shit's gonna be fucked up. We're fixing it. That's the point.
When you're using a skill while moving.
Yeah.
You're a little bit faster coming out on all classes. So that actually affects the Ranger and the Sork as well a little bit. It's not like, at first it seems quite subtle, like but when you play it side by side, it actually makes quite a difference, even though it's a relatively subtle change. Like it worked as well. And then you've got things like with the block being faster, you know, like you're just overall more mobile, you know, with a lot of the stuff. Like I think it's helped a lot. But the nice thing is like we still didn't have to compromise on like making sure the combat still was right. So that's obviously been like a big worry, especially because there's so many other buffs and things for other character classes. Like there is definitely a concern that we've like overcooked, gone too far. Like things are, you know, like things are going to be too easy, and I'm a bit worried about it. But I think it should be okay. You know, we just have to. You
mentioned like the way you've designed this, not meaning you didn't have to compromise on like combat and that, and that was a big hesitance for you. Like you really wanted combat to be not optional in the past. You were talking about before,
for sure.
and things like that. So why does it feel like the way you designed this lets you not compromise on that vision?
Because ultimately, the actual combat itself still works after trying it. Like, and generally speaking, like, even though I may not necessarily agree with something, I'm still willing to try these things. So, you know, we tried it, it works. That's really it comes down to, right? So, you know, that as long as that's the case, then, you know, then I'm cool with it. I just want to make sure that we don't end up in a situation where, you know, we're just, it's all just like, even during the campaign, it's just one button, don't have to worry about anything, like there's no challenge anywhere, like that kind of stuff, because I just find that boring. I just don't enjoy it at all. Like I feel like you need to have some level of like actually, you know, having to think once in a while, you know, during a boss fight or something like that. So there just has to be a little bit of that left over. Now, you know, sometimes it can be the situation where...
This was a good compromise, like 100%. It again, he spoke about how long it took for this programmer to work through it, let alone, you know, there's heaps of iterations with these kind of things, trying to keep things feel grounded, comedic, realistic, you know, that kind of stuff. So you're not just like, and
by the way, it might be 2 months of working on that.
So you know, when you're taking a chance on a thing like that, and you know, it feels like a compromise, and you're uneasy about it. You know, I'm glad we did pull the trigger on this one and give it a go, because yeah, sometimes it is like knowing how much resources this is going to take. If this fails, it's a massive waste.
Because I mean, there was another one that was like hugely contentious, which was removing the limit of 1 per support gem. Was something that took a bit of convincing to even get people to want to try out. Like, that was definitely a worry.
After all the things,
dude, literally, there's so many changes. The whole game's different. They've changed the whole game.
I was kind of like,
the campaign's different. The passives are different. The characters are different. The ascendancies are different. The fucking
what we were gaining,
skills are different.
Something really important. And
armor
so
is
now
different.
Now that we've done that, I wouldn't have it any other way. I think it's really.
I can't think of anything that didn't adjust other than
in my
towers.
Opinion, the most important change we're making.
It's like, who gives a fuck?
I mean, obviously you got a bunch of content, but like in terms of like, you know, like what single thing is going to affect gameplay the most.
Those are the people, in my opinion, that are a little too lost in the sauce. They're just like, bro, these towers are the worst fucking thing in the world. This is fucking unbelievably impossible to deal with. It's awful. And it's like, that's because you're on your fucking 5th level 100 character, because you can finish that in fucking 40 hours because you're psychotic or whatever.
Think about how you
touch grass
differently.
Do a little bit of other activities.
Rather like, okay, which of these damage?
I love this fucking game, but like
something else instead. But playing around with it, it feels like it kind of just lets you use it on 2 skills, like something like Fist of War, and that's just a really big improvement. Like that's
and the minions can't miss
having
now.
2 Fist of War skills than 1.
That's so much.
But like the skill design is nuanced enough, and the supports themselves are nuanced enough that you do still seem like you end up with a lot of variety.
Yeah, it definitely works. Like it's funny because in the end,
well, because there's going to be certain things that are staples. Like for the warrior, I'm going to be putting a lot of health leech.
Like, and
I'm going to have life leech on fucking every one of my abilities. But I'm just going to try to upgrade them so that that's just like, all right, that's a passive one that stays on there. Now we upgrade the rest of it.
There's a lot more going on with the way the skills, or just like there's a lot more thought being put into like the exact ways that skills interact in PoE2. You kind of end up being fine, and it just ends up being better. So I'm really glad we tried that one because it's super important.
Yeah, and it seems like lineage supports take over the role of this one gem a bit more.
They do. So basically, right at the end, you've got the thing where you can only have one of each lineage support per character, but that's kind of like none of those are like okay. So you know. Something like multiple projectiles or martial tempo, like these things are super important to kind of make skills even viable at endgame, whereas the lineage supports don't have that same thing. So we effectively get to keep a little bit of that like interesting decision stuff, but only right at the end when you're kind of at the top end and you're thinking about like hyper optimizing specific stuff or like with interesting mechanics. So we still get to retain a little bit of that.
I wonder if this will allow us to like properly get into the end game.
This change, like I've been playing warrior, and I almost feel like saying the new warrior because it's not any one specific thing. Like the support gem change, the sprinting change, the faster while blocking.
And the fact that now you don't need as much dex just to actually hit.
Dude, what do you mean more impactful than you would have expected to be able to block almost everything?
Some of all these small individual things.
Of course,
it was quite hard to design the live stream what we were showing for this reason. Because it's like it kind of ended up being just like a huge scatter shot of like all sorts of little things.
That means
it's sort of hard to appreciate the sum of it all. Like adding up to
I could just make a fucking rock wall and be in the section that gets busted.
You know, like radically, visibly, obviously changing the class. But it's like when I'm making a case for like why is the warrior better, it's kind of like you got a few new skills, you got like a few different mechanics, but like together it just kind of comes into something that's like way better than it was.
Yeah, I've spent the better part of 2 days trying to put my finger on what it is exactly that is making that, because you were asking me like whether I'm worried that the warrior is a bit too strong. And I'm like, I'm definitely a lot stronger, but I'm trying to figure out what it is exactly, and it's like a bit that, a bit this.
Yeah.
Everything.
Thank God. I want to make my Elden Ring character, but in this game
feels like way more fluid.
Giant hammer, giant shield, big fat fuck armor.
I've got more Fist of War skills going off. We like the instant weapon swap thing is huge as well. Like,
yeah, that's
that
insane.
seems like a pretty minor change, but
that's so big.
All of a sudden, you're not thinking about like
it's just a piece that you don't have to consider.
Right. And that there's no reason removing all the reasons why people wouldn't use combos is exactly the focus that we had for a lot of the stuff, right? It's like what is preventing someone doing a combo here? What can we do to fix it? So you've got like the shock change where that's longer. You've got like the change to chill and that kind of stuff. And oh yeah, there was a whole like thing with, we never even talked about Ignite because there kind of wasn't room for it. But Ignite has got a whole different thing where that it does now, where there's like every time you fail to ignite, it builds up flammability. That means your next ignite is more likely.
Dude.
So there's like that. There's like a
so
bunch
that
of
means
all through
being a fire tank is viable now, because the more you don't do it, the more you do it. That's sick.
Thing with the curse and the what do you call them? The thing that lowers resistances. What the hell? Exposure. Yeah. So exposures, right? Like it seems so tiny. Like, oh, let's make it so that you don't have individual exposures for different elements. But it's like it actually changes the gameplay so significantly.
Yeah.
Because the moment that there's something that's going to add like 30%.
That's why I have those gloves on. Was because I was like, well, this simplifies. I can just use all three.
So you're never going to use cross element, right?
It's going to
never going to do it. So it's like really, really important to just remove every single barrier that's getting there, because
we merged cast on shock, ignite, and freeze into single.
We did.
So
there's no more cast on shock anymore. It's cast on ailment.
Oh,
for that reason as well, right? Exactly.
My
right? So
God,
literally, we're like, let's find every single reason that's going to stop you.
Jacob,
multi-element
they've done it.
Try to improve that, right?
They keep doing it.
And guess what? You can still just play one element if you want.
Yeah, you can, of course, right? But now, if you're doing multi-element, there's just no reason anymore not to.
I was so stoked looking at what you were doing with the elementals.
If I can just do lightning on lightning, which
I can
apparently.
Mixing
I just make it full Palpatine.
Well, I'm curious to see as well, like if we're both being two separate elements, is it possible for us to collect each other's things to buff each other? So if I'm using Ignite and you're using Ice, is it possible for us to collect these? It might be a support gem where it's like, oh, this will allow
every single case we could see. Now there might be still some more, like you'll find there's some random mechanic that only works on one thing, and then people pick that, and they're like, okay, we have to find and make sure that there's something that's going to attract you to every element and play it. I mean, look, part of the upgrades to the individual ailments also really helps, because it's giving you another reason. Like it isn't just that you've removed the things that were preventing you from like you want to both have a I'm not specializing you because this mechanic works across different elements, but also you want to have like this element has something that you're going to want to use with other elements, right? So like buffing shock, for example, we're like, okay, like, is there enough of a reason to weave lightning into a fire build, right? There wasn't enough of a reason. So by making shock better, it's like, well, then now there is a reason to use two things, but you also want the burn and you also might want the chill, and, you know, like making sure that all that stuff is powerful enough to actually tempt you to actually do it. Like you need, because
like 8-second shock, and you even mentioned bigger magnitude shocks.
A number of the skills have a bunch of shock effect on it.
So effectively, if a skill is supposed to be for shocking, then that skill will have magnitude on it, because the idea is that, like, you know, we really want to make sure that you know, it actually works.
God, man.
So that kind of stuff. It's the same
awesome.
with the fire skills that are intended
good.
for burning as well. Like if something's intended for burning, it's going to have some kind of duration or something like that. So it's like you want to use that one, then you want to switch to something else while that's burning.
Like motherfucker.
As long as you want to do that,
I'm gonna have to adjust the whole character, but I kind of want to for the elemental.
Yeah, you should just like use your main skill instead.
At some point, because like.
But you know, like even like once again, you wrap back in the support changes where it's like, okay, like why would I want to use this other mechanic when I can't do this as fast, or I can't do it as powerful as I could have been doing on something else that I've all-in on. Like it's like
literally
that as well
the statements I made.
It's like the whole lot was just all, you know, a bit of a mess in that way.
Yeah, and you mentioned the ignite thing. I did want to clarify because I saw some questions about it in the chat. It builds up now. So like, if you don't ignite, you get 50% of the ignite, and then the next failed ignite will.
It's called flammability, since we no longer have the curse.
Right.
And as you build up more flammability on an enemy, the probability of an ignite occurring goes higher and higher and higher, and once the flammability is full, the ignite is deterministic. So if you miss an ignite, you at least contribute towards the next ignite being more likely, and eventually it is inevitable.
But one of the other amazing things we got, which was huge from our perspective, is that the way that ground effects work now for the fire is that it has to build to 100% flammability, and then it sets them on fire, which means that if you use a level 1 flame wall, it doesn't ignite shit anymore. Really
so now you do. See, again, that was the other stuff where I was saying, I was like, there's no reason for me to upgrade this because I'm not getting anything out of it other than
exactly. So if you're using a high level flame wall, it'll set on fire real quick. But if you real quick. But if you're using a low level one, then it takes forever, so you won't do it anymore.
So like again, they're just like, how do we just like stop people from doing this thing that we don't want them to do? Give them a reason to not do it.
More supports around that and that kind of thing. And
let's be more liberal with the power you can give out to that sort of thing. And just the consistency has been a pain for any Ignite builds for a while now. So that's just going to be actually consistent now.
Yeah.
So that's really good news. And I saw that freeze was getting a lot better too. The same idea of like any freeze skill.
So the freeze skill, for that one, we didn't, I believe we didn't change the sort of base freeze balance exactly. It was more that freezing skills just have more freeze going on. And then there was also the other change, which I guess we didn't even cover really, which is that anything that consumes... we'd use the word poise, but basically what that means is that anything that's like harder to apply to a boss, if the mechanic is harder to apply to a boss, then we want to increase the reward for doing it on bosses. So then we've got like an extra damage versus unique monsters.
So when
like
I knock a boss on its ass, it's going to be fucking
like electrocute.
Like freeze a boss, it's way harder.
I would never even see a proc on a boss, and it would go and it would go for like 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, it was fucking worth it.
Now much more chunky.
And this was substantial enough that you could actually see it in the footage. Like you saw the boss getting chunked from those shots in the footage compared to like the regular attacks.
But there were other ones as well, right? Like, so with the armor break, for example, it's like you weren't really incentivized to consume armor break on bosses. So the way we solved that particular one was like, okay, if you're an armor break consumer, rather than consuming the armor break, we're going to upgrade the armor break to a new state, like a new higher, like a level buff that's going to do something different.
Are you willing to
like
keep
in the case
going?
in the case of Sunday, you're like upgrading from plus 20% to plus 40%, but then it also refreshes the duration, and then so effectively you're more incentivized to do this, and then because it actually extends it now. So that's like another thing where like let's actually make this combo work.
The high velocity rounds one is
very good. Yes,
pretty crazy.
It's
so that's it takes your armor break into, I don't remember the name, let's say T2 armor break.
Shattered armor.
But it's then for the next however long the duration is, 5% of the, I think of it like a kind of infinite impale. 5% of the damage dealt by the high velocity rounds is dealt on every single hit for the rest of the duration.
And that means every single pellet of a shotgun is doing a percentage of the high
fragmentation range. The snowball on that is ridiculous.
Consume days on Monk is the exact same thing. So if you do the vaulting days, vaulting impact, And then you have, if you have staggering palm up and a temper spell and you do whirling assault, you're doing all the whirling assault hits, all the projectile hits from staggering palm, all the temper spell hits, each of which are doing a percentage of the vaulting impacts thing on it, and you just melt things.
The giddiness on him when he's talking about this is what I fucking love about this. Like, I can see how excited he is to play this himself and to give this to other people. It's fucking awesome.
I like that one. And the other funny thing about it that's like less obvious but really good from our perspective is that it means you can't repeat the combo piece immediately either, because once you've upgraded the armor break, it's extended the armor break, which means that you can't just reapply the armor break immediately again either. You have to do something else. So it actually kind of generates that rotation kind of naturally, which is kind of a nice one.
It's chunkier and it feels like you're not an idiot for doing it.
Right, exactly.
Before it's like, why would I want to remove their broken armor and make them tankier again? Like, it never really made any sense.
That's a good one.
But it also like prevents some of the weird edge case stuff that is a pain for you guys. So huge improvements there. There's a lot to take in with the supports and skill changes and things like that, but it's like with the amount of supports that are getting added now, and now tiers of supports and lineage supports, do you feel like there is a point where it's a bit much for players to like take in? Like,
well, so I've got something. There's some stuff around this that I would like to improve, which is that first of all, we did a full pass on recommendeds to because there was a lot of terrible recommendeds right now, and so we did like a full pass on that. So basically, what I'm hoping is that now, at least all the recommendeds are not bad. Like I was kind of trying to really answer the question of like, are these three supports the truly best supports that the skill could have, right? And previously we had this extra constraint that kind of screwed this over, which was that because you could only have limit 1, there was always this thing of like, but would you use it on the skill or would you use it on a different skill that we were always kind of working around. Now we can just be like, what are the 3 best options, right? With no other constraints, right? And so that means that immediately makes it easier.
Awesome. So now it's just look. That's right. That is going to be the best.
Choose the recommended, it'll actually be helpful.
And then if you want something
had to go to that other screen where you've got all this other stuff. It's like,
excellent.
You actually rely on the recommendeds to be good,
which is perfect for them having the free fucking weekend.
I remember we had a ranger with 10 skills, 50 supports, and it was 2 out of 50 were recommended, I think, for the skills they're on. I'm like,
it's a bad sign, right?
So if that's a bad sign, if your in-game ranger is that, it means that if the player who's following the guide that we have given them is not only not being rewarded, they're being punished because we're making them make wrong decisions. And
I'm sure they'll still be
that's so funny.
But like, hopefully it should be way better. And
I love how like that being a potential issue is also possibly the reason that they're like, well, why don't we just make gems open again?
Recommending stuff based on the previous stuff that you've already done.
Crazy.
Which might be just get a bit complicated, but I'm kind of I feel like we maybe should start thinking about that. Like
that would be so good. They're like, hey, we know what you like doing. Try this.
Other skill on your build, and this becomes an option, or there's something like that we might have to do because I think there's more we can do there.
Yeah, like if you have molten armor or something, then this one is recommended to combo with molten armor, which is not this.
We did a pass of like making the names more obvious. Like, because there was a lot of supports that just kind of weren't
like search for there's this thing that does a thing. I don't. What is it called? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. Whatever. Google it.
Yeah. Like, there's something that does an explosion with armor, but what's it called?
Well, that one should be obvious, I think. But
armor explosion.
Yeah. But yeah.
That's what it needs to be like.
No, I'm pretty sure it is called that now.
Yeah, good.
But yeah.
I remember just being like, if I'm struggling with this, so many people must be struggling with this.
Damn,
like I remember
it's a crate or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it was not the most intuitive of systems for sure. So massive.
Yeah, well,
massive step forward in the UX.
When you use
the
big words,
all of that stuff.
It gets
for
confusing
sure.
sometimes.
I'd say as you play it and as you take it as it comes, it's not overwhelming. It's easy to look at it in this context and go, oh my god, 100.
Yeah, when it's like arcane immolation,
whatever the numbers are, lineage supports, and oh my god, there's so much going on.
The lineage supports really should be treated more like uniques, so they kind of just go into the big pool of like stuff that at in game you're kind of.
Which, by the way, they added 3 new types of uniques.
Things will end up probably being like, this build guide says, this is the thing to use here, so and here's the boss you need to farm to get it. So I suspect that it obviously ends up a lot of that way with uniques a lot of the time, but
there being so many options for this stuff actually kind of like, so there's this thing that ever since kind of the internet, we get we're spoiled, right? We're inherently spoiled for everything. We have the build guides and all that, and there's a lot of fun to that as well. But we obviously lost some of that kind of mystery of your own self-discovery. But I feel like you're almost forcing us back to that age a bit because there's just too much for guide creators to really cover.
I don't know about that. Like people will still converge on things.
But even if a guide creator like creates a build, even if it's like
because like if you're playing as a mercenary, you are in the mercenaries window, and you might break off into a different section in the passage tree. You're a warrior. You're going to be dealing with the warrior side of things. Realistically speaking, you're not dealing with 100% of the fucking passage tree every playthrough. You're doing a portion of it.
To actually cause it to be that there's still
you just need to figure out the portion you need to give a fuck about.
Which is there's not many games like that really. That
just looking at that tree is going to drive me bananas. But I'm going to love it.
Theory 1 anymore, but
well,
Theory 2
yeah,
is getting that,
I guess so. But I mean,
because I'm going to have to find all the new minion nodes because I would always max out all the minion nodes before doing anything else on a minion build, and then I just have to like find a way to make myself more survivable.
Like sockets and get a 6-link and how hard it is to do that and how many we get?
So there have been some adjustments. Actually, this is probably a good time to cover a topic that like was probably not obvious in the live stream, which is that we now have a system that allows us to effectively. And I don't have a good like way to phrase this really, but it's like so. I'll take the transmutes as an example, right?
Okay.
So in the live stream, we're like it's dropping too many transmutes. We want to instead drop these more powerful ones. The way that actually works is that as you get higher level, it specifically takes like some of the juice, if you will, of the transmutes that would have dropped, and then instead drops higher level ones but less often. So the kind of the idea is that it's like, you know, we're getting rid of the crap you don't want and kind of like making higher, like better stuff that you just get less.
So good.
And we've actually changed over some of the ways that, for example, the way that uncuts now drop as you get into the end game as well works that way. So it's like it effectively turns. You're getting less uncuts, but you're getting more of the but they're turning instead into higher level ones.
Good.
And like that kind of stuff. So like
because I don't need 400 of the type before the one I need currently.
But effectively, that
the only reason I kept low level ones is so I could do the thing he was talking about that's now
kind of better.
in
completely pointless. Yeah,
like, just use a low level one. Now it's gonna be shit.
Jewelers have also been changed to use that system.
Yeah, now the low level one is going to be okay. I got to go back to the like very beginning area to test if this will work.
Or destroy your thing for one chaos and see if
we're still trying to make it so that you get enough of the low level currency that you can still do map crafting because obviously you don't want to burn the higher level ones on that. But what it does mean is that you know you won't need to do as many.
That's also kind of cool too because like if you're in the shop and you're like, oh, I'm trying to find something, you click on it. Now you're gonna see all these new hideouts that you would have never seen before. Like people are gonna go to my hideout and see like the big fucking the fire.
There's no reason for random
wow,
you're
they're gonna see all this shit.
That's much larger than previous stuff because of the way that works. Are much more controlled by the level. So at the difference between the eye level 78, 79, 80 is quite.
And honestly, with that fucking aesthetic and the floating between places, I might actually have a reason to make a fucking place.
You know, like from rares and uniques.
Yeah.
That is even more. So like you kind of there's a little bit more of that going on with that to make it you know.
You can cube them down, right? As well.
You can down cube. You can't up cube. You can down cube.
If you're SS,
So that's probably not a word we should be using.
What cubing? What's the
you can
up
split
cubing it down.
If you're an SSF and you're not getting enough of the basic stuff to roll waystones, and you happen to be getting some of the higher tier ones, and you don't need them for your gear, downgrade them so they can. And split them into 3 so that you can apply them to your maps.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so with the new system, they've given us a way to...
Well, no, you wouldn't do that, obviously.
It's more about the creative one going into
reverse engineer it back into the shittier pieces. That's awesome.
So kind of on the topic of like the sockets and the gems and things like that, what's your kind of like expectation for like when a player would have like 1 6-link or even multiple or all 6 links? Is that a thing that you think players have now, especially with the support gem change?
I don't know that we've necessarily changed that for 6 links too much. For the lower ones, like for the 5, we did add a few more like specific drops around during the campaign and like a few more things like that to kind of just make sure we really wanted to make sure that there's a bit less randomness for that part. For the 6 though, it's still kind of like supposed to be the peak, you know, like top end stuff. So it's really the 5 that we want to kind of make a little bit better. As far as like
we significantly changed the drop rates of these as well in 0.2.1.
That is a good point, actually. Yes. Like, so if you haven't played since then, it's a bit
which was a decent time into 0.2, the 0.2x, you know, series, and the drop rates of these did significantly go up.
Yeah.
Because it is worth mentioning, of course, if you didn't play post 021, then you've probably got a very different experience from what the drops are now compared to what they were before then. Like we made a pretty big difference there.
Yeah, the changes that you did over the first few weeks and stuff.
Yeah.
So
just worth mentioning that's still a thing, right? Like we still have those changes too. So if you stop playing after like a week or something in a 020, like the item drop stuff changed quite a bit.
Yep, and. Is it kind of the same thing for like level 20 gems and stuff like that? That's something that's
I'm not exactly
kind of like a chase long term.
It is supposed to be chase, right? Like getting those higher stuff. But one thing that you shouldn't get anymore is the just like spam of crap you don't need as far as the uncuts are concerned.
Well, during that O2X when we were looking at item drops and everything, I looked into the gems, and it was okay. So obviously we added that Venter's gamble box, and that was dropping them. And I was like, why does it feel like 90% are coming from that? And we looked into it, and then it was like, oh, these are like only dropping from
like a spirit gem that was the highest.
The way
rank.
the levels had been set up, it was assuming that the tier 16 maps were 83. Like in PoE 1, the highest tier of maps.
That's why they weren't dropping level 20
and
gems.
so the drop levels of level 20 gems were like dropping from only, the corrupted +1 level areas and all of that, and only from
super restricted.
And so I was like, oh my god, this was just a straight up error.
Okay.
So we went back and we were like, it's in a -3 levels from everything there.
But that was a 0-2x change, to be clear. That was already fixed.
Nice.
That was a bit of a disaster. But also, inherent items. There was another change. Just speaking of gem levels, it just like clicked in my mind. We've actually, what we've done is taken all the wand, staff, skills, and whatnot, and we've effectively balanced them. Because the idea is you find your, like, let's say your volatile dead wand. You're going to use that for a while, like if you have good affixes, especially if it's in the campaign. So what we've done is effectively balance them as if they were like 3 levels higher implicitly. And you can now get up to level 20 gems dropping 20 inherent skills, even on unique items, for the ones that did level up from the ground as well. So like those are playing to add to the sorceress and other classes' arsenals.
That's the one
those
thing.
are playing more of a role as well.
I haven't played in a while, right? But I feel like
with
the one
uniques,
problem too is like
you don't get to
a lot
a
of
point where they all drop level 20. You get to a point where some are 18, some are 19, some are 20. So you're gonna get this like
kind of like it does 10 to 12 damage. You're like, when the fuck?
You're like, oh, this is really cool, and it's like, oh, this would only be used from level 15 to level 30.
So but they the inherent skills should be a lot more impactful and a lot more meaningful now as well on the wand. And we've added a whole bunch more. I think we ended up adding like 10 or so new wands.
I think it's 8.
Something
I think
like
there's
that.
8 new inherent skills. I think was
quite cool. There's some quite cool stuff in there as well.
Another reason to stay as the elementalist.
Reasonably
got the unleashed. Got the unleashed staff finally back in. For those who were at the OG second exile con. So that's been removed off Chronomancer, and a new
I'll just play
passive's been added there. And, so since
I can't do that. I was gonna say, I can play like a fucking fist fighting a demon switching minion build.
Quite a bit. But especially in like ranger, warrior, and elementalist, it seems.
Every class got changes. Yeah, I think.
Sweet.
I don't think there's one that we were like some less, some less than others, but I'm pretty sure every single class got a change.
So
because like base, I mean, everyone did because of the sprint and the dodge.
Yeah, it was like Act 3. I found one.
So effectively you get
everybody.
So now there's effectively a tier per act.
Those are rare. Like
no.
Yeah, like so because that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, these tier 3 ones.
Yeah, but bear in mind we've sort of rearranged everything, right? Because we've got we've got things that level up. So effectively in tier 2, you're often getting things that are level ups from tier 1, and so then we can push a couple of those up to tier 3. But then in tier 3, there's some of them as well. So you kind of it's sort of spread out a little bit more evenly, and the extra.
It'll be very nice to be like, oh, I really like brutality, but it's not doing enough. Then go to brutality 2 and 3 as you level up. That's already going to be so amazing.
Decision fatigue you had a little bit with them as well, where
better versions of the skills is going to make such a monumental difference.
Like
that'll make such a huge difference for me playing a warrior. Like the ones that give me defense, the ones that give me health back, the ones that are like allowing me to sustain myself. Being able to buff those as I go is going to be a massive fucking change.
I actually really value the fact that no matter what, when you get to that new act, obviously the interlude is kind of considered.
Because that's the one thing I liked about Path of Exile
so
1 was like you get a skill gem and you just have to use it a bunch to level it up. And then
I really like that no matter what. Obviously, you get to the new act, you start seeing all the new base types. So you kind of like, oh, I used it. Now you have this new tier of support. Therefore, I should throw it to the side. Every time you get to an act, you just like straight up like, let me just get a bunch of power upgrades.
Yeah, there's not even a reason to just throw on the skill, not use it, and just fucking let it.
In terms of
you have to like break your build to try to throw on the shit that might be good, and you're like,
yeah, and then you use it, and you're like, great, that was a waste of time.
Every second act you'll get new.
How do I have this set up again?
Yeah, can't remember how that's split. I feel like that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and interlude, and then end game for essences. So like, there's a lot of like, you get to Act 4 and you get a new tier, you get a whole bunch of new base types, you get a new tier of essences appearing, and so on and so forth. It's like, just feels really good getting to a new act and getting all the power from it.
We'll talk more on specific archetypes then, but first, so like on the skill topic, thing that comes up often from Chad and earlier questions I've gotten is like about the overimportance of plus levels across the board for a lot of things, and also the impacts of mana costs on that. Like you guys did a pretty big adjustment on that recently, but how do you feel about where mana costs are at and plus levels?
We have lowered the exponentiality of mana costs like pretty drastically, especially level 20 plus is going down a lot, like an absolute huge amount reduction.
Okay, so my chrono wizard's
going
to be disgusting,
relatively intact. There's another. You were talking about the importance
all
of
the
plus
problems
levels. Like one of the
that weren't really problems just got buffed.
In-game builds especially ended up using something that was using flat damage and thus scaled strictly from gem levels and not from your weapon's damage itself. And as a result, what a lot of people were using was, what's this magic weapon with just plus whatever the number is, 7 or something.
We've actually changed quite a lot more things to be weapon-based scaling around the place. Obviously, on the sword.
What's kind of like an example about that? Like,
which will make things feel so much better.
I mean, everything that was flat damage, all those unarmed skills, all the obviously different. With Hollow Palm gives you damage a different way. But with Shockwave Totem, all of the stuff, we're just generally going like, we just want weapons to matter, and this whole just using a single affixed weapon at the end.
I really want to punch things.
It's not going to fly. Now that being said, plus gem level still pretty important, and especially in the case of casters. But the mana costs just got kind of out of control. Manageable in some cases with some builds. With others,
that manageable was what I was dealing with. Like I'm melting through it because my build is based around a skill where I am intentionally melting through it. But I'm curious to see how fast that intentionally melting through it is
but there were some changes towards the later campaign that I was like, no.
Well, again, they were smart to go like,
don't do those.
Make it like
change. So we're fiddling with the numbers a little bit, so
very baseline default, kind of bad, and then like slowly start raising it up.
We have something
because like they've said before, like you can't give them the most OP thing and then reduce it. That just never works.
So
you have to give them something that's like lower baseline and then slowly raise it until it's balanced. Because if you give them too much, then like they're gonna hate when you nerf it.
I know that conversely, you do want mana to be a thing that you actually interact with. So where do you kind of want mana to be on a build by build basis? Like, what's the expected kind of like player solve?
And as you can see from something like the new keystone we added for leach applying to elemental, like ideally,
that's the one part I love about this game is like there's no cooldowns for the most part. It's mostly just like
a keystone that made leech apply to elemental
almost entirely
damage.
You have
so that
attackers.
Dude, literally nothing about the character I made before is bad anymore.
It is something
everything is godlike.
Like
that build
is
is
to have to deal with.
Somehow I made a build that's more functional now than it was before.
Relatively the case most of the time, especially when you start to get gem levels. It's just part of that puzzle for those characters, and that is intended. Now it was to extreme, obviously, so that's come down. But it is still, you can't just get away with not investing into it at all. I generally, when I try and play on live, try and play the thing people will play in the least. So that I'm most equipped to be able to deal with the rebalance of it. So I just played a sorceress for the last league. I actually enjoyed the solving the mana thing, but yes, then once you have your plus, I can't remember all the values, 6 on your wand and 3 on your amulet and all of that stuff, you're just like, oh my, this is insane. And then certain skills just become completely non-viable. and you know, all of a sudden the triggers are just like goodbye all your mana. And then you have you know, and I was like, I had mana on every single slot, mana regen on every single slot. I had probably a third of my tree in mana, and like, my damage wasn't a problem, but I was like, okay, this is just going too far, and like, and then I'm like, it's too much investment. Far less damage than, you know, whatever some other build that's had to not care about it in the slightest. So missed the mark for sure on that one, but it should be a pretty drastic course correction on that front now.
I like when you actively suffer in game for us, Mark. Good changes come out of it.
Well, the trade suffering got to a point where it's like, nah, this needs to stop. It got so much worse last league for me. I was like, seriously, just like, I'm so done with the AFK. Just please, can more of you be at your computer? And
that's
like,
so that's probably how they're figuring out a lot of the fucking issues is community feedback, but also this dude is like, I'm gonna play what everybody is saying is actively the worst fucking thing to figure out why it's the worst fucking thing.
He goes home, he plays their newest build and sees if he likes it. He plays through the whole campaign
every
night.
Sees if
I feel a sense of loss.
That's what he said.
Oh my god! So he's one of the people that knows how to get through the campaign in a couple hours.
Eventually becomes a problem.
That's wild.
I mean, you made the game, right?
Of course, yeah. You know exactly. You could be like, I can see the path, but we just need to go this way.
It seems like they go on Reddit and they go on these different places and they go like, what do people like really not like and why don't they like it?
Yeah, you know, issues are concerned. So I'm glad we've finally got something that we're kind of happy with. I'm really hoping it's going to turn out well. Obviously, one of the things you just can't really test.
Yeah, Jonathan said like when everyone was saying that armor in the warrior was terrible, he's like, all I did was go home and play the warrior, and I liked it for a bit, and then I was like, yeah, there's some stuff to change.
Which is, I loved hearing that because it was the exact same experience I had of like, you played the warrior and you were like, oh, this is fucking cool. I'm tanky. I got a shield. I got a big ass hammer. This is fucking awesome. By the end game, you're like, why is nothing working?
The amount of available items to purchase is multiplied by a huge amount, like times 4 for the amount of offline players that are now available at least, and then like
because to me now too, like the trade system feels almost like Fallout 76, where you just find someone like, I have a vending machine, go check it out, and you'd walk up to it and just see what kind of like blueprints they had,
and that's part of the reason why we need the gold
costs
to kind of offset that, because that will potentially drive down prices.
Now I'm going to be trading a shit ton.
So you need something that's kind of a barrier so that people aren't like buying things.
If I have 10 chaos orbs, I'm like, let me see what I can find.
Well, so okay, so what I'll say about this is that, so the gold costs are there for that. One of the other big, really important things with the gold costs is it means that it doesn't screw your progression up too much as you're going through the game. So effectively, you've still, as you're first, you know, going through your first experience, the prices have a bit of a floor, so that, you know, like when you're in like Act 3 or something, like, yeah, you can afford stuff, but you can't necessarily just buy a whole set of gear, like out of nowhere, that kind of thing. So that's kind of important. And then the other thing as well is it stops any kind of, well, maybe not completely stops, but the hope is that it'll stop botting of like, you know, high frequency trading, that kind of thing, because, you know, that in order to be able to flip items, you would need to run maps to actually get gold, right? Because you can't get any other way. So effectively what that means is that you can, it's going to prevent that kind of thing from being an issue too. So the hope is that this should be a situation where we don't get like catastrophic hyperinflation or something annoying like that. And if we can achieve that, that'll be really good. We did pitch the gold prices on the high end to start with, because we're a bit afraid. If it turns out everything's fine, we can lower them down a little bit, but they'll be a little bit high to start, just because, you know, we're a bit afraid, and we don't really want to have to jack them up after they when they were low. So
you said this that they were pitched on the high end, but then when I ask you about how much gold it actually costs to buy something, like what amount of gold does it cost in terms of time or maps?
The discussion was that buying a rare should cost you about 1 map worth of gold.
That's like, seems like nothing to me. That doesn't seem that high. Like,
I mean, you know, like it's
you
enough
end up with a lot of gold.
It's a lot for a botter, but it's
well,
not
exactly,
much for
right.
a player,
It's a lot for a
right?
botter. That's the thing. Yeah,
sounds perfect.
A little bit earlier in the game, this is a little bit different because you want to make sure that you know, you're not screwing with the progression too much. So you know, it has to be a little bit adjusted. But effectively, yeah, that's kind of the goal. Just to it's enough of a barrier to stop the flips, basically, because, you know, you still actually
that sounds low enough that the currency cost of the items is more likely to be a.
Well, I mean, that is the part that the players receive, so you'd want that to be something that matters. But yeah, like as I said, the floor shouldn't be too bad. But it's gonna be very interesting to see how it develops. Like, I honestly have no idea really. Like, I don't know.
I like
whether the prices
like
will be
trying to gamble when you're trying to level up was like
the old one.
Useless.
Like, I actually don't know what's going to end up
happening.
Spend 4,000
gold
I've
for a
got
staff,
theories, but it's
like,
like I think there's counterexamples too. Like, it's very interesting.
Yeah,
and you get in like 3 blues in a row. You're like, well,
like prices bottom out for like usable, decent to bad items, like they go down to 1 alc. But the problem is then at the same time, people don't want to make those trades, so their minimum price climbs. It goes to like 5x or 5c or whatever. It's like the minimum that they would even leave a map for. So that created a flaw before.
But then on the other hand,
kind of gone now.
On the other hand, if you're just filling up all your stash with a bunch of crap, like, you know, that's like, as a seller, you don't necessarily want to do that either. So, you know, like, you've got that element going on.
And this is something I love about this
I'm
system.
so glad I don't have to deal with my stash though when I rejoin the game.
Real feedback of how things are selling, because you're going to get in
What do
real
you mean?
time those.
A bunch of people are going to turn up in your hideout. If you underprice something, a bunch of people are going to turn up instantly. They're going to be...
So this is my favorite when we talk about how this works.
Non-visible or whatever.
So people click it,
retrievable only or whatever.
Transported to your hideout.
At the location of the NPC with the box open with the item highlighted. So like you can't like troll people by like putting the NPC somewhere far away from the entrance or something like that, which should be otherwise an issue.
They put the trader in a random hidden location.
They put you in a fucking maze.
Like
what the fuck?
So we actually
popular.
So we actually had to do a thing where effectively the there's only 24 slots for people who aren't your friends or party members. So effectively, that means that there are some extra slots that are dedicated so that you can't like someone can't like stop you from being able to map or something just because you had a popular item that people.
That's hilarious. So they were like, we gotta increase the amount of people that can be in
I
here.
am
so
sure that there'll be other random trolls that
what
people
you're
discover
doing
as a way to do this, and we'll have to iron them out. But one we did think of immediately, of course, because it was really obvious, is like once you've set a price on an item, put it in your stash, there is a cooldown on being able to take it out again, just to give people a chance to
you can't be sitting there going, oh my god, too many people are joining.
Remove it again, right? It has to be put in. And I think it's even got a thing where it refreshes the cooldown when someone joins. So that's the thing you need to be thinking about. So once again, I'm sure there'll be exploits or like stupid shit around this that people work out. Like, but you know, we at least thought of the really obvious ones.
It's going to be a really like physical.
Are they saying because like if someone puts in something for way too cheap and then a bunch of people are like, oh shit, it's way too cheap, and they try to pull it like, no,
you're probably doing things right. But yes, no change of none of that repricing.
The bait and switch is gone, right? Because like when you put the item in and you price it, you are committing to that price, right? Like you must sell. You must sell for that. Someone's going to buy that thing, right?
Never again am I going to message someone and be like, I want to buy it, and they raise it by 5c.
Right.
I still want to buy it.
But
5c again.
On the other hand,
want to buy it.
On the other hand, you have to actually be careful, right? Like you could accidentally sell something for real cheap, and nothing's. There's no.
It's a great way to learn.
I know it is, right? It is.
It's a good way to learn.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So it's almost like a bigger fear for doing this, apart from the item acquisition part, which is like the economic side of things, was the losing the player interaction side of things. That was often mentioned, memed about a little bit. But funnily enough, this is actually increasing it more than messaging people.
Yes.
Because they're coming to your hideout. Like there's going to be that kind of like presence of
they get to check out your kind of like garage sale that you're going on.
I love that.
Yeah, that's true. It really is your garage sale.
Exactly.
Right? Cool hideout decos and
so
we're adding we're going to be adding a new hideout decoration that's effectively a set of security guards, and so people in your party, they'll let you through, and people not in your party,
dude, that's amazing. So you can have a VIP zone. It's like buyers are only allowed in the front.
That's
some
sick.
class.
Be funny.
Only people with class are allowed in there.
Dude, I love that so much. That's such a good decoration.
So much fun stuff you can do with this. I love it. But never before would I have like looked through a seller's like other listings. But now, like, a lot of time I'm just gonna go there and buy the highlighted item. But
if they were silly enough to sell it for that cheap, what about their other items?
What are their other
also,
items?
but even stuff like
the 5 things.
Even stuff like you can see the tab names on the other people, right? I'm pretty sure you can.
Yeah,
So you're like getting the nice organization and like colors scheming and everything, right? So that people can,
people's ASCII art.
So that'll be a nice one too.
No, I can't wait to look at all the Phallus tabs and find out.
Okay, no, I think because we have to add a reporting system for it, unfortunately.
Because someone's just gonna use slurs.
I'm excited to log in. Just to have that. You wake up in the morning. Like,
oh my god, what do I get?
Before work, go run to your computer.
What currency do I get?
And then you get nothing. And you're
The idea of even just like
you know, it's actually kind of awesome that they're doing it like this because like
doing it too, like just browsing.
When I was playing like the Star Wars MMO, the fucking galactic trade was so fucking awesome because like you could even trade.
But yeah, there's so much unknown variables there.
Purchased
what
items.
Is this gonna do?
But you would only get like the one copy of it, so you would have to have like hands on that item at all times. But I could still buy something that like only was
it will be separated from the
obtainable through actual money.
And also, thankfully, we get to test it on PoE 2 before we look at putting it into PoE 1, so we get a chance to. Oh, someone's phone calling me. That's not good. Before we get a chance to. Before we have to commit to that for PoE 1.
Yeah, that's a good. There's a big problem. There's a big problem.
Right, but like, I am almost certain that it'll have to go into PoE 1. Like, there's no way people won't.
Oh, that's
it'll have to go. But at least we'll get a chance to kind of assess how the economy shakes out and kind of make some
Delta Force.
Before we have to worry
looks like there's some extra chat questions about this.
It's too late now. I'm just going to fix it afterward.
Sniping instantly with the system. I mean, that's the point.
I can use my actual computer.
I mean, ultimately that. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's the point, but ultimately, yes, it's a thing. But then it already is kind of a thing. Like, there's already stuff that honestly goes on with there.
That really changes too much, I guess.
Yeah.
Because we were talking last night, I think, a fair bit about arbitrage.
These fucking the Q&A sections go so much.
The gold is a bit of a deterrent.
The gold is the deterrent, right? It'll stop the bots, ideally.
I love it though, because it's like they ask them like, so what the fuck's to do with this? And they go like, okay, listen, we had a fucking problem here. We tried this out.
You know what it is, dude? It's basically just like it's an interview format podcast after every review.
It really is.
Like you're getting 2 hours of unfiltered, just like, hey, we're talking about
this. Let me give you the 40-minute rundown of why.
You didn't really need to make gold cost really high for rare items, because I was like, oh well, tier 1 uniques like cost 1 billion gold. I was like, apparently not.
No, not really, because by the time you get to the high, like the top end of things, then that stuff is already the most expensive stuff. You don't really need to have the inflation like that kind of like the descent of prices that you get that'll happen up there. So you kind of in the end the prices for uniques they don't have to be that extreme.
Yeah.
But what the thing to note though is that the prices are a multiplier per level of what the shop prices are. So we do actually have shop prices for all the uniques now. So if you sell uniques to the vendor, you actually get more gold now than you did before. Just as a side note.
Oh wow!
There's gonna be some kind of exploration of which golds are like not worth trading but worth a lot of gold.
I'm a collector. I want to just collect them all with the fucking unique tab.
Yeah, and then noting that this tab only sells stuff not in the currency exchange.
Yes,
right. So you can't sell
one of these leagues will get everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Currency exchange is for fungible, stackables, stuff that isn't modular, and then the rest goes in here. So it should be that every single other tradable item is in here.
Yep.
So we had the kind of discussion in the past about like whether maps would get somehow made to work with the previous system, but now obviously that can just be done through this, right? Like those sorts of items that are a little bit variable, but might otherwise be considered a kind of currency can go there.
Yep.
So if this goes well, do you plan to remove like old systems of trade or anything like that?
I don't think we can, because fundamentally, like we have sold premium stash tabs. They had the functionality they had. Removing the old system,
that would be bad.
People bought stuff. We can't delete what they paid for.
And did you
wow!
Reveal that you can
Incredible
developers,
morality, and a fact.
Blizzard and
yeah, that's a thing we wanted to make sure.
A lot of those long-term PoE 1 players have a seemingly infinite amount of premium tabs, largely for this reason, right? So it certainly wouldn't be right to all of a sudden be like, no, you don't get to use any of that anymore. So you can fully just convert
it's
them.
cool to just have
and that is why
option.
it's also just as important to work in PoE 1, because your micros are shared, right? You're not gonna,
so there will be a little bit of a time there where if you convert them, of course, the PoE 1 doesn't have this tab type, so they won't show up, which is a bit annoying. But once it gets added to PoE 1, then they'll work.
Ah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
We'll try to make sure that doesn't take too long.
Yeah.
There's the question of, will functionality of the trade site be in-game in some capacity?
So that's something that we really want, and we even had a prototype of this. Yeah. So it's a thing that we are
good.
Because
working
that's
on,
the barrier.
But
for
unfortunately,
me.
didn't
I don't
quite
want to
make
have
the
to use a
030. There's some
fucking
stuff we want to do. I am personally still a believer in that the website's going to be a better experience, because the typing, like web stuff is sort of designed for this kind of thing. And ultimately, when you click the button on the website, your character in game still moves. So like if that's a thing. But on the other hand, for discoverability for new players and that kind of stuff, it is good to have
huge
something
for
in game.
console.
And well, here's the the thing. I reckon for console, it's still better to use the website because you can use your phone and you can search for stuff on your phone.
I suspect
like
a little
console controller, typing text with a console controller.
Yes, Mark. Thank you.
Right? So like like typing with a phone.
We need it in game.
That's true. But look, we are going to do it. It's just that like it isn't quite.
I didn't realize you could go on to it on your phone.
A lot of people are very excited about the idea of in-game one, and
it is a feature that we will do.
PlayStation,
it is a feature we will do. We just
because exactly what I said.
And it's close.
Shit to type on that stuff.
To me that I can
That's my biggest issue with Rivals is I try to make a fucking
the magic of the internet, I guess.
and I'm 40 minutes late.
I'm getting old, I guess. You mentioned that like there's more things on the horizon that you would potentially like want to do with this as well, like in-game features of things.
I mean, yeah, like obviously the first question people will have about once you've got in-game trade searching, when's Awaken Trade coming, that kind of thing. I mean, look, maybe one day, like it certainly opens the door to it. Like, I wouldn't want to say that it's not going to happen. Like there's stuff that we could do there, but there's a lot of UI issues to sort out. There's quite a lot going on with that. Like it's kind of one of those things that I'd look at a bit later. But yes, obviously something people want.
It's all under consideration though, which is
for sure
very cool and very quite a pleasant surprise.
That's the one thing is like,
well, like the goal,
hey, like we have this
nice
problem.
To get to the
You think
point
about
of
it, like,
not
yeah, we are
feeling
actually.
like
It's like,
be,
oh, nice.
Sure,
it's not like absolutely fuck off, don't talk about it. Who the hell are you? Get away from me.
Not to say Awaken Trade is dodgy, but there are some that obviously a little bit suspect. People are a bit like.
That's why I like that they have two game directors because they can both bounce. Like Jonathan's like, I think it's great on the phone. He's like, no.
Especially when all of a sudden they're asking you to provide
information
you shouldn't have to be providing them, and that kind of stuff. So getting away from all of that, having it be all nice, secure, done by us, and everything is the ideal goal. But one step at a time. This is a big step, but we'll see what's next after we test this out. Let an economy test it for us, get it to PoE 1, all that kind of stuff, and then we'll take it. As I said, every trade system reveals its problems. Maybe that's just the next problem. So
see. Another question here is like, when you click like secure item or like buy item on the site, and it's going to take you to the hideout, it's like, is that locked in and other people can't then click it? Or
no, they it is technically a race. Yes, we'll see how that goes. Like I think it should be fine. But that is
maybe don't say maybe change the button to move to acquire or something like that. Like secure is a bad word for it. Then
who loads faster?
It should be race for instead of.
Thankfully, the loading time should be a lot better. In this version than they were in the past. We're doing a bunch of engine changes, which I'm hoping is going to go well. Obviously, when you make changes, there can be
engine. I love it, dude. Imagine being a developer doing all this shit and then going like, we're also going to do engine changes. Like that would, as a developer,
we feel like our game isn't functioning well. I mean, that's what Baldur's Gate did.
Should be quite
like
a lot
2 or 3 times. They would just do a bunch of crazy shit, and then they would go, by the way, we've optimized all that crazy shit so that it functions on bunk computers.
Like the shader poppin type issues.
But imagine it through a game that's like a live service, like people are actively trading,
should be
people are
better, and
actually
we'll also
playing,
unlock a lot more optimization opportunities for the future.
And like they're trading to each other, like it's like basically a fucking MMO, but it's an action RPG.
Where we've seen a pretty good performance uplift. And things are looking pretty good, but still more to do. But that's definitely something that we're taking really seriously. And one of the other things that I'm really hoping we don't run into is another stupid operating system bug like we've been having with the damn freezers, right? Like we've made changes that I think will work around those, but fundamentally the Windows 11 scheduler is completely broken. Ultimately we just kind of have to do what we can there.
How fun for you?
Yeah, I know, it's very annoying. But, that's the just the life, unfortunately, of a game developer to deal with that. But hopefully the
deal with fucking giant
freezers,
companies
we basically managed to fix them for almost everybody. But they were still happening to a few people, so I'm pretty sure we should be sorted out now.
Yeah, and the EU servers and things like that have been
right. So that's the other thing, of course, is all the DDoSing problems and everything like that. So yes, that's been a huge focus of our server guys. They've been working pretty much non-stop on trying to deal with that problem. So effectively, what we've done is we've actually retired some server hosts that just weren't able to be sorted out. We've got a lot more anti-DDoS protection stuff going on. We've been working on that. It's been a huge amount of work to get it to the point. But effectively, as we go into this free weekend we're about to do,
it's huge.
we made sure that
really
every
want it to be
single service
fixed up.
provider that we have is armored up. That we've got things like in place for it.
Nice.
Again,
it does mean that
companies that
there's
are
a couple of
actually aware of what
locations that we
matters.
couldn't find an adequate solution for that had to get cut. But we've tried to make sure there's other options with just almost as low latency nearby, and overall things should just be significantly improved over what we've had in the past. So yeah, like it's really sucked that the previous launches have been so decimated by this stuff. So I'm hoping that it will be a big improvement for that stuff.
You feeling nervous for that free weekend?
Certainly it's a concern. I mean, one of the big things we've been doing recently is we've been DDoSing ourselves to test that the actual DDoS is working. We never did that.
So fucking, they're just like, yeah, no, we're just going to actually do it.
People had, but now we're like, okay, when we do this type of DDoS against ourselves, like, this one doesn't work, this one does, that kind of thing. So that's been
DDoS against ourselves.
Again, they know what to do. It's so cool.
Like, free weekend, there's a lot of players.
They're like, we actually prepared for
here.
this.
We
Other companies,
we
threw it out.
We waited till they affected us, then we spent some money, and maybe it helped. There'll still be a giant queue time.
That all that stuff is good. So, I'm hoping it'll be all right.
Speaking of new players, how do players onboard with like the new trade stuff? Like, is that introduced in some way that helps them figure it out? Because it was never really the case that people were explained how to trade.
To be honest, we haven't really had like any time for tutorialization of this stuff. So I will have to see. Honestly, I have to see how it goes. Like we'll have to see for that. But yeah, like it's to be honest, right now we don't even have a sprint tutorial in. Like it's been, we probably need to get that in there at some point. But the focus right now is like get the features working, get them good, like get the people testing them, and then
I'm fine with that. Because the thing is, we're in early access, right? We've paid money to get this early. We'll figure it out. We're the types to be paying attention to this shit. Like, oh, okay, there's a sprint.
The harsh reality of tutorialization is unless you put a big red wall in front of the player and say, no, you have to learn this. Then they literally won't. So,
I always appreciated
Path of Exile won the amount of times I ran.
I do as well.
Sometimes like
something was so good.
Tutorializing the trade system will be a little bit more intuitive and easy, at least for the sake of purchasing once we have an in-game searcher.
I would have even said to do it before.
Once they have an in-game searcher. So the thing that I want to
also if the tutorial tells you to go buy a micropresentation.
The thing is, I'll probably still use what's-her-face to Angie to do the trade. I just probably still won't really bother with purchasing unless I feel like giving
tutorialize that, because then you can be like
time to the website.
That is
okay. That makes sense. Kind of on the economy.
Now I might actually try it on my phone. I didn't.
I didn't. That's a huge difference.
Because if I can log in and like basically stay logged in and just use the captcha or whatever.
Just use your phone as the browser and then you press it
and I just teleport in game and now
I'm
there. And I can
if that's the case, then I kind of agree with him that using your phone might be the better option.
Right.
That's quite a number. Like,
I mean, like part of the
2,000 exalts to a divine.
The whole like higher tier currency thing was partly to add stuff in the middle between. More stuff.
Didn't we find a divine at one point together?
Exalt.
But also the most recent playthrough we found 2
by having the higher tier ones.
2 or 3 actually.
Kind of stuff. Like, there was a little bit of thinking around that. But also the implication of this is that we're not syncing enough exalts. So there's something that we'd have to think about whether or not we want to start doing some more syncs for that. I'd say that's probably the main thing.
You know what's funny too, Ethan? One of the other nights after I played Cyberpunk for a bit, I was like, man, I'm really excited for the Path of Exile 2 thing, and I played for 2 seconds.
I think it was up to
literally played as the warrior guy I had.
This is.
I
specifically remember the screenshot that was sent to me of the exchange rate, and I was like, oh,
both of his
okay, this is bad.
Like uniques, and I was like, oh shit, and I logged off, and I was like, that was cool.
Value those more, like they're syncing more of those into uniques. Maybe.
I was surprised that they.
Yeah, this really cool shield that was like a mirror that like opened up and like to another dimension that was like hypnotizing me or something, which apparently does the same thing once I use it, but it didn't do the opening up thing that it did for him.
Oh, true. Items too, like maybe divines become even more valuable.
Yeah.
I don't know that's a problem, but the other thing of like exalts being devalued maybe is a problem. But I don't know.
I expect exalts will be not that valuable still, and that's fine because ideally the more common.
That's the craziest part about this game game is
trade
like
rate will be the
the
higher
people
tier
who
ones.
I sometimes see on the Reddit the past exile thing be like, guys, like it's a good time to buy some exalts, and they're literally like looking at like a stock market. It's like they're watching the bar graph go up and down, and then like some of them literally sit there like it's a stock market and buy all the things, so then they could buy all those things for their character, and it's like I am not that invested, but like holy shit, it's kind of cool that like a game has a whole stock market into like the items and values of
something
things.
just being a market phenomenon. It's
Well,
like that's the way it is.
Your average player, like it's a bit different when it's a mirror, and it's hard to explain why necessarily, but I guess most people can probably relate with that. But when you all of a sudden are seeing something not like over 900, you're like every now exalt you find is just nothing. Like it's nothing. It's you. There is a threshold. I don't know where that exact threshold is, and the threshold will be different for each person. But like at least if you to be able to quantify it as like I've found 1% of a divine every time you find an exalt, assuming 100-to-1 ratio. Yeah. You still at least that feels like something.
Feels like something, you're right.
And now you're like, okay, I'm getting 0.1, and now it's 0.05. You're like, what are we talking about here? We're just in a point where like every exalt is, you're getting into filter it out territory kind of thing at that point, which is not great just because the value is so. I mean, you're talking about it being like worth a Reign of Chaos card from PoE 1 kind of thing.
The higher tier ones. I mean, look, I'm really interested to see what the trading dynamics end up with the higher tier ones, like whether stuff starts to get priced in greater exalts or something like that.
I'm curious to see.
I have no idea honestly what will happen, but we'll see.
There's not a set currency.
I also love too, like that's how they balance it. They're like, we don't know yet how the players are gonna value it, and then we'll adjust from
normalize
there.
into something. There'll be a thing that everyone knows to do.
I'm curious about like so let's say you go to someone's hideout to buy an item. Obviously, you'll know the price of that item, so you can visit your exchange in preparation to like get the correct currency to buy that item. But if you like see other items in their thing, can you like use the other person's exchange or exchange currency? Do you have to go back to your hideout and exchange? It's just
how does that work? I would
an
think
awkwardness.
Ange probably would let you. I think that would work.
It'd be cool if you
use
could
the currency exchange in the other person's hideout. It's the same NPC, right?
That would.
I actually genuinely don't remember if you can use other people's ones, but there's no reason you shouldn't be able to.
Yeah, we can make that work.
He's like, listen, my plate is so full. I'm trying my best, but I don't remember.
Chat says you can. Okay, good.
Okay, if you can, you can. I genuinely am like, have I ever actually tried to do that? I feel like I just default go back to my hideout.
Yeah. Here's my advice to sellers then is to put your currency exchange person next to your vendor so that you can get a few extra impulse buys.
Oh, they're the same person.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
we moved it to her. Yeah.
And are they both the long?
Nice.
Wait.
No.
That's a different thing.
No, that's a different thing. It's Ange, the person from King's March.
It was one of the MTXs that you can get the long neck boy.
Yes, that's a different thing.
I was enjoying that people were like calling it a good doggo. Such strange.
That's fully separate.
Okay.
This is Ange. You find her in King's March in Act 4. And you get, if you haven't got a hideout, you get a quest to go get a hideout. And then once you claim it, so you don't have to get your hideout in the endgame now, or from buying a micro, I guess. And now you get it in Act 4. She's there straight away. You can immediately engage with both systems. So before we had like currency exchange on all the NPCs and all the towns. I actually think we might have kept it there just on random NPCs in the interlude and stuff, just so that you don't have to go to your hideout every time. I'll have to check in on whether or not we did that, but I'll eventually, Ange will just handle all of it.
So this means you don't gain access to like item trading until the same time as you would gain access to the currency
for the first playthrough in the league, yes.
Yep.
Okay. But the subsequent playthroughs you can.
Yeah, that makes sense. Great stuff. Something I wanted to bring
That's
up
actually not true, by the way. Subsequent is not the case.
Oh, really?
Because otherwise you have an advantage over new players. Technically.
No, but subsequent in the same league.
In the same league. Yeah. Per league, you have to have fair ground with new players and existing. You have to unlock it at the same point in time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, within the same league, completely fine. Yes.
All right. Something that I wanted to bring up as well was build diversity. That's a thing. We talked a lot about like how there's a lot of buffs for the other archetype stuff. So that's obviously going to be helped by that.
Wasn't the last league like
your thoughts on
lightning spear something or other was like 64% of builds or something?
I think it was, or 15,000 players or 75,000.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not in
46%
that
is pretty big. I don't know that we've ever gotten that high. Maybe with
Also, I'm
we
really
did
far
Legion
from my
League
mic
Cyclone.
because I'm slouched.
Cyclone.
But let me
Maybe
know
it's
if I'm too
51%, I think, of Cyclone Slayers.
Yeah, okay.
Something like that, yeah.
It was like, so maybe.
So we're not quite there.
Not quite there. But obviously,
the
it's just as bad. It's just as bad. To be
end.
fair, that's. Oh, I'm only counting one class there, actually. You know, Lightning Spear is across many classes. So, you know, maybe it is the worst it's ever been.
Because that's just the skill gem itself.
Across both games, yes, true.
Yes.
True. Well, either way, it's bad.
So yeah, I'm curious. Like, at what point do you feel that's like a problem?
It's obviously a problem
For
now.
what duration is that a problem? Yeah, obviously. But like, what's the point at which it does start to feel like a problem for you guys? And when do you want to even like address it in the next league versus in the current league? Because that's obviously a difficult thing to do.
The mid-league nerfs, like people say they want them, but like the reality is that we get crucified for them. Absolutely crucified. Like it's
if you get on it fast
if you get
enough,
on it, yes, you have to get on it so fast, basically, to make it
you get
okay.
away with it.
Yeah.
And if you can find it, but if you don't know about it for 3 days, well, I know it's silly to say, how do you not know about it for 3 days? If you like misinterpret the severity of it, for example, and everyone starts doing it, and you're like, oh no, it seems kind of fine.
Listen
and
to
then
that, what he just said.
And
you don't know about the 3 days. That seems a little crazy. Like, what the fuck?
The player base completely
The
pivot.
developer
That
not knowing
happens on a
something for 3 days seems like every other company in
if
existence.
certain people are away and busy.
I feel like it's a
especially
problem, and
people
you'll
with
maybe
balance,
get a
Jonathan
change
Ryan,
like
stuff
4
that.
weeks later,
Obviously,
unless it's
you
some
know, support other
microtransaction
people
change.
forward, like you get our people, you know,
Or
staff
people
are
glitching the
playing and all
game
that. So
somehow.
like this stuff does get around, and we do learn about it. But like if you slip by even a day, you get to the point where you now have to make an excessively hard decision, which is like make 50%
Slip by
happy
a day.
or 50% angry, right? And it's like it's lose-lose. And so often, and sometimes you make the wrong decision. It happens. But look, it's less about like there's a number that's wrong, and it's more about like the way we looked at it this time is like look at all of these bad builds, like why like these need to not be this bad. Like you shouldn't be able to make this many mistakes, this many bad decisions, this many wrong decisions through supports, passives, everything, all of that. And it's like we just need to bring all of that up. Now by doing so, you're bringing everything up. You can't just have Lightning Spear go up proportionally to everything. There's no one's gonna swap and play all this other stuff that's now, you know, in that kind of same level of balance. So yeah, the outliers have to come down. It just has to. You do it, and in this case, we definitely thought it would be best to, you know, some people will say you should have done it in the league. Yeah. Maybe they're right. Whatever. We're doing it now. We're bringing down those outliers. So yes, Lightning Spear is nerfed. Let's just rip that Band-Aid off. And honestly, if you're surprised by that, come on. But like there are, you know, an insane amount of increases to bad things, wrong decisions. They all should
it's
be
also
brought
good
up
too,
in
because
line.
it
There
lets
should be
you
a
play
lot
the
more
whole
viable
league and then
options,
go,
a lot more
okay,
good
that was
things.
OP. Next league, I can't do that again
Viable
because they've
different
nerfed
classes.
it. If you're in the middle of playing and you put in like 40 hours and they go like, now it's changed, you go, ah, fuck.
Yeah, now I gotta toss this whole character.
Yeah, like, great. Now my whole build is shot, and I have to like change all my gear and everything.
Again, of like, do we nerf this, do we not, kind of thing for each of those.
You eventually get to a point of stability, but when you're adding this much and having to change this much, you're going to have a number of things still go wrong, a number of things still be abused, and we will try and stay on top of them, and we will try, but there'll still be some stuff I'm sure we'll have, and hopefully it's not 47%. And hopefully that number's less, and over the time you get more stability, more equality in the classes and the balance and the different skills and all of that. And you know, but it's mostly honestly important to not just be like, I want to play a caster, and then you go and later find out that you picked the worst class in the game. And sure, there are still some builds within that are, you know, you could say competitive to some degree within some threshold. But it sucks to learn that like you get to level 65, which for some players may have taken tens of hours, and then you're like, oh, you're telling me I literally picked the worst class that no one's playing, and I could have just been throwing a Lightning Spear this whole time. And
well, that was people at the beginning of the game first.
That is a real terrible feeling to have.
Like, this thing is fucking
The
garbage.
feeling he's talking about is the reason I haven't
don't-
touched that warrior.
Like, if the worst was only slightly worse than, you know, the best, you know, slightly, you know, so within some margin that you're still at least feeling powerful, you're just not, you know,
I feel like
or
a
can,
complete idiot.
then at least you don't feel absolutely terrible about it when when people are just like, you made the wrong choice, like you have to reroll. You're just like,
I'm in it.
Like, I'm demoralized. How were you supposed to know that at the start without doing a bunch of research, right? And So yeah, that
that I appreciate.
Over
That's
time,
that's the key, right? If you can make every piece of shit somewhat viable, you made a person functional.
Make things more obvious
to a degree,
and intuitive, and all of that.
You know, and that might just be a learning process for it. Like, cause that's what it was for us. Like we put time into so many characters, and we're like, oh, I did this wrong because I just wasn't aware of these things as we were going through. And you learn
something to like make you, it's so rewarding.
0.09 second boss fight, you know what I mean?
But like,
the ceiling has to come down.
It's good to just have, because that was the issue that like it really crushed my want to play the game for quite a while when the warrior just turned out to be a pile of shit. Because I was like, dude, I'm only allowed one weapon. Two, if I have this specific thing where I can use a two-handed version, that's the only difference. I only have the shield, only have like physical armor, health, and none of it's working. I'm dying to everything.
Again in the future, that would be a mid-league nerf, despite not being like a bug or anything.
You can't necessarily tell because at the point where like it's what Mark said earlier, like you look at it and you go like, is this actually that bad? And it's very easy to be wrong, and you don't, like, by the time 20% of the community is playing it, it's too late to nerf it.
Well, it's because they've invested items,
they've
invested their wealth
stuff, right? Like you
and now you nerf it.
Like you have to make the call before that point,
and
it's tough.
You drive a portion of those players to then quit by taking away the fact
literally all of them will.
Well, probably, yeah. Well, you could argue the nerf is in line such that it's still competitive and good. But they won't feel and see it that way necessarily, right? Like they put all their investment and their wealth of the league into that, and they're taking that away is brutal.
Yeah.
So it's like, who do you make quit? And that's it. It's a ultra terrible decision. So, but again, eventually they will taper off, and you won't get that level of extremity occurring that often. Like, and
I hope so for you guys, because on the flip side, like I imagine the
PB1 went through the same thing. Still happens there as well.
I think part of the thing though is when we were going through it, there were less tools for everyone to see what the like disparities were.
Yeah.
And so, like, I feel like as more information is there, like, people feel worse about their bad choices than what they previously did.
I can realize just how bad I am.
Exactly. So it actually, I think,
now I have empirical evidence
like,
that I've played like
through
shit.
This now in a bit of a different time than what we did initially, when we had, because like early PoE1 had tons of terrible balance going on all over the place. Like I remember like some of the stuff that was happening here. So, but yeah, we just can't get away with as much now these days.
The old guaranteed crit flask.
Yeah.
With your 1,500 crit multi
charges on crit.
Right.
No.
On leveling, so leveling builds are kind of another topic in general as well. Like, do you guys are you looking a lot at like leveling build diversity within each class, or even across classes? In some cases, where some things are strong enough, like Rake Stomping Grounds, where spellcasters are doing it. Is there a point where you...
I mean, I want to look at things all through the game, really. Like, I just want the fundamental underlying skills to just be fun. Like, so I'm not really necessarily looking at a skill as, like, this is an in-game skill versus a leveling skill. Like, to me, they need to serve both purposes. And, like, when we're looking at skills, we're like, can the skill to in-game? But, of course, it also has, is it fun in campaign? Like, both of those need to be true. I wouldn't like, classify one skill or another as fitting into one of those categories.
Yeah, do you kind of, like, aim to have at least a few for each archetype that feel good then, so you're not kind of like feeling like there's only one way to level a certain character?
I mean, as I said, ideally all the skills feel good. I mean, I know that we need to improve some of them, but that's part of the goal of what we're doing here, right?
Order. You know, not always the design makes sense.
It's like with the monk, for example, you know, lightning, ice, clearly better than the wind physical version, right? And so may make changes to that subcategory. Ice archer, you know, and then there's the clunkiness with the poison ranger, and you know, so because most people are leveling as lightning when they are playing archers instead of lightning spear, they're which whatever. They were playing lightning, and the other things, like, sure, there's a couple of things that are still good, but you know, like, there are clear, you know, things that are losing comparatively to the others within each of the classes. And so we focus on a lot of those. We looked at, like, look, these aren't being played, and why? Let's see if we can get them to be played competitively with the things that people are playing on those classes. So yeah, and I mean, things like Sorceress, where you have, you know, at top 15,000, 0 to 0.1% play usage on literally one of 7 classes. Not great. Like, so that gets something way more drastic. You know, so that's not just like bring up cold a bit. It's kind of like, all right, we need to do something crazy here and just like shift everything. And pivot, and now we've got something that's a kind of promoting this multi-elemental, and honestly, playing each of the elements is probably still just better anyway. But yeah, now you got the multi-element and combining a lot more and passives and everything. Yeah, there's like so much going on there.
Chronomancer build was
there are so many variables
abilities
changing.
combo with other abilities of other element types, because I have gauntlets that make me do 33% of everything.
We might come out of this and now another class is at 0%, maybe. Then we have a new goal to fix. You know what I mean? Like, but that's not by design. Like, you don't want that to happen. Yeah. But we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. It's exciting. I don't know what I'm going to play. I'll tell you that. I have no idea. I'm like, I don't know.
Me neither.
Between the unarmed, the elemental.
I'm just going to see if they
finally brought it up to snuff where I can
see what people aren't playing.
Yeah, because I have to work on release day. Because
that's all I want. Just let me be a
sure
big
everything's
fuck.
stable and thing and fixing anything we can. I get that day to see.
Well, I wonder when they'll bring over the.
I'll jump into that just so I can experience.
Did you ever buy the one on?
No, I
Marauders,
didn't.
because
the stats on it were so insane. It was like you get full tilt when you have 3,000 strength, and I'm just sitting there going like, I've never even breached like 500. What the fuck is it talking about 3,000?
Pretty hefty buff this time around in terms of it being able to apply to elemental damage through modifiers and nodes on the tree and such, and that looks really, really good. Do you think that there's any other fundamental issues with armor? Because I know you were looking at it as a whole and deciding even if you wanted it to work the way it does.
Well, the thing that people would probably say is the worst part about it is that they take a big hit and they can still take a lot of damage.
Yeah.
But the thing about that is when we look into it, it's like it's still pretty damn good percentage reduction if you look at it. So like I was sort of less confident that was the true issue with it, and that's when we were looking at it, like, well, what is the actual weakness of this thing? That's when we started to look at the elemental part. Yeah,
Smith of Catawba was alleviating that, and it's like, okay, that's probably not acceptable that you have to, in order to mitigate the elemental, get
that's what I was playing.
Max
Smith of Catawba with
so
like the everything maxed out so early,
make that not be so mandatory,
made the world of difference.
Increase the elemental side of it, and that way you're not like feeling.
Because if you can just block that shit or use armor to defend against that, that's fantastic.
Like, one part of it for sure.
I wouldn't say that we have like another
it's funny.
There isn't more that we know we can do.
I know what
right?
build.
It's like we need to see how this plays out.
I don't know what ascendancy I'm
and then we'll know whether or not there's some issues that we need to address.
Obviously, we had the issues where like
Catawba
energy shield
can build
even just running hybrid.
Fire
crazy
spells
with
to
convalescence and use and a bunch of stuff
so
there. So
I
we've had to make some changes around that as well, bringing that back a little bit.
But then wasn't there a bunch of stuff with like when you heavy stun or something? There was some other shit with that.
I can't remember what the Smith of Catawba had with the heavy stun, but I know
it's difficult to make it not just be.
I was looking at it.
Well, I just mean like there was the
in some cases
there was some stuff they were just saying where like like some on heavy stun guarantee like some other fucking
I feel like
craziness which would work with the other ascendancy, which was like
the build that I was going with initially, the super Waker, I guess.
As much as a lot of people might not
sounds
hear
like
actually we're going away from it. Recharge should be the way you recover
the serial.
Well,
we need to
but
embrace
like
that and not
Quaker
have just
is a
every
type
other way
of
under the
people,
sun
if
to
I'm
get it
not
back.
mistaken.
I can't remember the specifics. The patch notes I'm sure will tell you.
Like Mormons.
But yeah, it's like anything that's kind of just like overly trivializing.
I don't know if I'm even accurate in that.
Infinite amount of energy shield is certainly the current main issue. So
yeah,
I mean
if
that's
I'm able
part of
to
it.
reduce
But like the whole weapon swap convalescence thing, which we have made changes
by a
around,
set amount based off
just
of my armor,
you
then I
get
can
the
go
bonuses of
full tilt
convalescence
pure
without
armor,
having to
health, and
incur the
health
spirit costs while
regeneration,
you're
and it
doing
should
the
actually
DPS kind of
cover
thing
me.
is not okay.
Because
like,
I'm now only
at
going
least
to
not
be
from our end, so
fucking
making
melted
changes
by
around that as
chaos,
well.
which means I can deal with that much more effectively.
Yeah, I mean before that it was Grim Feast, and so it's been a couple of problems, but like ultimately, I'd say they're more equally balanced now, those three defenses, and on average, armors come obviously up, evasions come up, more predictable things, less.
Wasn't evasion also getting like some elemental thing or some other?
Not recharge, and we've added a lot more.
There was so much information. We've been
doing
this for 3 fucking hours, man.
It's like deflect or something.
I want to see what like chunky energy shield pools look like, where you actually have to like recharge in some way or build to recharge.
I like playing that way personally.
Yeah.
Again, I did this league as well.
it can be really rewarding. Like when I've played that sort of like.
I mean, the monk having the thing that like
you get into the
sit there and like Super Saiyan yourself to like double up
you
your.
have to put 30% of your tree into
armor
mana,
or
and then you
shield
have to
or
put
something.
so much into not only
It's really
increasing your
cool,
energy
except
shield,
it, like,
but
took too
also
long.
into the 2 recharge axes. And you end up like, okay, hold on, I'm putting so many points into this just to be on the same level as something else, which, or just to feel like I can kind of basically survive. Whereas like other classes,
I'm really hoping that's the case, where it's like the amount invested
warriors are rocking around
is
with,
actually worthwhile. You're not just like, okay, I'm wasting a third of my passives just to be
beefy
functional
for sure,
right now.
and especially the Titans, and then you get your all the Smiths with all the resist, and so there is some certainly tanky warriors going on out there for sure. But yeah, doing the elemental thing with that will go a long way, and the deflection with evasion will go a long way. Parry and block being way
there's just deflection with evasion.
Predictable. It's huge. You don't
yeah.
have to go like
the blocking
see,
is going to be so easy
I
for
don't
me
know
now,
if that's
dude.
blockable.
The only time I'll have to dodge is when that flashes red and goes dodge.
Didn't do that with evasion.
When I was doing the Smith of Kitava, I was able to fight.
Those guys will still hit you. As
oh god, what's the fuck's the Geonor?
The slams will still hit you
by
with
just
evasion,
literally
yes,
eating
but
his
the
strike and like
deflection applies to
countering him.
everything.
So
Eating his strike counter, like I was just able to like block all of his attacks and just fight him back like slowly over time. It felt so good.
Yeah.
There was discussion of that, and I can't remember exactly why we decided not to do it in the end.
Well, it was kind of one.
I think it was like a 20-minute fight I fought him with. I was having so much fun.
Yeah, because now it's a battle of attrition. You're like, I'm getting this, motherfucker. I'm fucking getting this.
Having one water down seems bad
Does
because then
blocks, attacks, dodges,
you
attacks.
could have that.
Yeah, like
deflection
dude,
be 20%,
especially
you know,
like
what the hell's
with the
point
way
of
that
this?
they have the wall
you
set
invest
up now,
all
you
that
know
into
how
it and
easy
you
it's
don't
going to
really get
be
much.
for
So,
me to just go, oh fuck,
having
big
that-
strike, boom, and if you're behind
having
me,
to not water them
the
down
whole
was
zone.
the main idea, and thus you get to have both, and you get to
Like,
have
that'll be
deflection
so
being
fucking
the thing that is like
useful.
ultra predictable, and evasion can obviously still be quite strong, but not as with the whole applies to everything thing going on. So I agree. I can see both ways. We landed on this one. We'll see how it works. But yeah, I always agree with the like. I don't know if I can avoid this or not.
Yeah.
At least deflect. That's great. And with block and parry now, that's also great. So I don't know. We'll just have to see how it plays a little bit though. But I fully see both sides 100%, and I wouldn't say I'm confident that one is necessarily completely perfect over the other.
And good job in advance on solving the spell suppression issue with deflection by tying it to evasion, so that not like I don't have to play my Templar and have a mandatory investment in deflect.
Yeah, we made that a specific goal, and we kept getting stuff like
suppression.
It being granted from other. I'm like, no, it must come from evasion. Otherwise, we're just going to have like every single character in the game having to get 100% chance from flat things from sources, and then we're going to have now every single character has their like specific way of getting 100% suppression equivalent.
I kind of wonder if you don't just do that in PoE 1 for suppression as well, but that's a topic for another day, I guess.
Yep, different live streams topic.
Different live stream.
Not to say we have any plans there right now, just to calm anyone down before they're like suppression dead. Just hold on. But different live streams topic.
How's your schedule feeling overall? Like, you feel like you will be moving into the next Path of Exile 1 expansion in the 2 months expected, and then having the next PoE 2
we're definitely going to hit those deadlines, like there's no question of that.
Yeah, you guys are
however, it's certainly like it's certainly hard to get to meet them. Like it's difficult, but like it's so much better to commit to the date, and just make sure.
It is. It's been difficult to adapt to this new cycle for sure. We obviously want to do everything we can for every patch and the next patch, and this requires a more parallel work going on and parallel thinking, and to be able to make sure that each game gets the correct time. You need to make sure, okay, if you're working on 030, you got to make sure at some point people are pulled off of it to work on 327, for example, right? That has to happen. Otherwise you don't get enough time. And especially considering after 030 comes out, you've got an amount of time of fixing things and addressing problems. Hopefully not too much, but you always have a little bit of that to do. And so all of a sudden that can extend even further. And so you have to at some point, and it can feel very unintuitive to be like, well, O3O is what the whole team's working on. The team's excited. Everyone's like, yes, we're doing it. We're prepping all the marketing. And it feels weird to then just start pulling people off of the thing that you're kind of working your immediate goal towards and have them working on a future thing. And same with vice versa. You get a little bit of that. And it is a little bit hard to obviously deal with, and we're adapting to it. But we're doing pretty well, and we're on track still for 327. So
it's like 2 really good expansion updates, with the recent Path of Exile 1 doing I think really well, and then this one is huge. I hope that you guys can settle in, and this feels like a reasonable workload soon, because
it isn't this week, I can tell you that.
No, it seems people are going to need a bit of sleep soon, but we'll go down to the bottom of our Q&A doc if we can, and we'll just wrap up with a couple of the last random questions. And if you're watching live, the patch notes are out, so we'll try and get you over to them soon. But there's got a few random questions here.
Oh god, the patch notes for this must be like a Bible.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gonna be
no timeline, but they will be
absolutely
coming.
insane.
Yeah.
All right. Hot swapping between controller, mouse, and keyboard.
Unfortunately, wasn't really. A bunch of work was put into it.
So it sounds like it's getting close.
It's getting closer, but it just unfortunately wasn't finished.
Yeah, fair enough. Any chance we get mercenaries in PoE 2? Mercenaries are fun. I like them.
Not anytime soon, I would say.
Yeah,
That's more
it
of a
seems
later
like a
thing, I would
much
say.
later thing.
Yeah.
Because they do it's a big thing that's just always going to be there,
Mercenaries is
eventually,
cool.
and that's skewing how
Yeah,
you build
yeah.
It wasn't enough to
characters.
bring me back to.
They have a lot of impact.
Path of Exile 1.
They do a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean,
curses,
when most of the game's
utility
not
and
great.
stuff like that. It's a big one. But
Mhm.
did you
Or
like how
not
they played out
entertaining it.
overall in PoE 1?
Well, I mean,
As allies, in many ways, yes. There's a few elements I don't like. Again, it's pretty weird. I don't know how much detail to go in talking about this when we're talking about PoE 2 context, but there are some problems of. I don't like that you just end up putting uniques on them and it has minimal consequence in terms of their survivability. I don't like some of the, I'm not entirely happy with the Doriani's prototype kind of situation. The combat with them itself, it's like you insta-die or they insta-die is often what happens. Not great. So that's the kind of thing where if we were to do it in PoE 2, they wouldn't just be recycled character skills and recycled character animations. It would be
a lot more consideration.
well, even if it was, at least we have new animations. So you'd have a lot more telegraphing, a lot better fights. It'd feel like actual skill fights as opposed to just what is this ruckus going on right now? So there's ups and downs to it, and I'm not saying any of that will necessarily drastically
I look at my cat, I look up, I look at Jonathan just full on coughing in both his hands. It just made me laugh for some reason.
Because I would say
he's trying to be respectful of the people around him by coughing.
He's really trying to. You can tell he's trying to hold that shit back.
Yeah, the first one it was just like,
but
and then
overall,
and then it was
okay,
I gotta get this out.
Big change, genuinely pretty happy with.
It's like when you're about to sneeze in a movie theater and you're just like, no, no.
I wouldn't want to add them to PoE, something like that to PoE 2 that
when you
has
tell
such an
everybody,
impact on
listen,
character builds.
make a noise, I have to fart, and I do no noise, you just fart.
I would say that kind of thing comes once you have, once you've figured your stuff out, you know what classes are at a baseline, then you can add a lot more of that,
8 years or so maybe.
Yeah, well, hopefully not. Hopefully, we're not too far away from that being in a much better state, but these things are endless. So
yes, that's it.
We'll see.
Here's a funny question: can you sprint on a rower mount? Does the rower sprint?
So there actually was a plan for that,
The
but
rower is currently it's not sprinting. The rower is currently faster.
That's
but
right.
when it slows down a little bit when you're shooting.
Yes, that's right. I remember that.
Not slower than normal run speed.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So it is inherently faster than base run speed, but when you are attacking on it, it slows down. So that it is.
I still haven't done I've never been able to ride a damn roa. It's so late.
Yeah.
But you can speak out. You can I believe speak out of that penalty even, and then you can. It kind of is so that when you're just running, it's more comparable to sprint and movement skill usage and stuff like that. Yes. So it's just it's faster. That's all there is to it, really.
Does the sprint work with blink? You'd teleport and start sprinting the same way that you always
it won't. I don't think it will. You can, but it won't resume sprinting straight afterwards. I believe
if you sprint, blink,
Am I wrong
sprint.
I feel like I was trying this literally yesterday.
What do you mean? Sorry.
You don't just blink and keep sprinting. It's a different action. It's an end there's an end animation to it. You'd have to go re back into a sprint.
So
no, but it does work if you hold down and then you blink and then afterwards it sprints, right? Isn't that how it works?
Oh, in that regard,
I think it is.
I would hope so.
Yeah,
yes,
no, that's
yes,
how it
yes.
I would hope so.
Sorry, I thought you meant you were sprinting and then you blink.
No.
It goes back into
you
it,
hold
yeah.
down, you blink, you go, you sprint.
I could be just entirely wrong about how that other thing
we'll
works.
see when it's live.
I was doing it yesterday, I thought it was like, yeah, I understand why it's like this, but ignore me. I was probably just wrong.
No worries. Does the elemental damage mitigation from armor apply before or after resistances? That's something you have to...
Isn't it before? Wait, so hang on. So you
Both of them are like, hey.
no. You resist first and then you mitigate.
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure it's that way around.
It's the one that means the values have to be higher, so which means it's the order and where it's the less effective one, so because the values are quite high and juicy as a result. Yes.
Oh, okay, so in that case it will be.
I think it's pre.
In that case, it's you armor first, then resist. It will be. Then.
I think that is what it is. Yes.
I love it. Fantastic reveal. I'm very excited to get into playing it. Thanks for spending a solid 2 and a bit hours chatting Q&A here. Very fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the 30th now.
Yeah, so I feel like I could spend another hour or two just talking about.
Well, now we know we can be like, hey, buddies, friends, hop on, try it out.
It was our first Q&A where we didn't hold the patch notes hostage.
Yes, so at a preset time.
Because honestly, like, I feel like the game does a well enough job of if you took someone like Emma or Menser, who like we played Diablo a little bit, but then like playing into that, like it's gonna tell them enough to know like how to play the early games, and if they like it, they keep going.
Specifically going like, hey,
see you later.
The passive tree is intimidating as fuck. It is a passive tree. It is not necessary for you to know what the fuck is going on in it right away. Just look at where you're connected to and what stats do you want. Just do that for now. When you're going to branch off in a random direction, then check back in. You know what I mean? Because that's really all it is. Like, there's a lot of overwhelming shit with these games, but if you just, like, clear up the air with a new player and just go like, hey, just so you know, like, don't fucking worry about it. Like, this is purely all passives. Like, you'll figure this crap out eventually. You don't need to worry about it right now. Just play the fun, visceral murder game.
That was good.
All right. Well,
they didn't say the druid, but you know what? They fucking
they gave us enough.
Everything else.
That's the way I look at it. They gave us enough that not having a fully new character, I'm fine with. I'll deal with it.
Yeah. I feel like when they described it, they're like, listen, like it's basically like almost there. We just wanted to do the shit that mattered more than this.
Yeah.
So it means like essentially like, they could have the next update, have the druid, have the new ascension thing, maybe another act, and like, you know, it'd be pretty sick. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Thank you everybody for watching. That was fun. See you next time. They rated Zizarin, true.
Okay. That and go offline. Thanks for watching, everybody.
I am excited.